I got hired into the best department in the underworld, the research office. But on my first day, they sent me to help the reincarnation department. When I got there, a worker mistook me for a dead soul waiting in line. Before I could explain who I was, he shoved me toward a reincarnation tunnel. I caught a glimpse of the sign. It said, "Animal Path." No way I'm becoming an animal. I twisted my body mid-fall and dodged that tunnel, but I fell into a different one instead. I didn't even see what it said. Let me explain how I ended up dead in the first place. In my past life, I worked myself to death, literally. I studied so hard my brain gave out, and I dropped dead. After arriving in the underworld, I figured I'd take it easy and get a cushy government job. I studied hard, passed the exam, landed a position in the research office. And now, on day one, I got accidentally reincarnated. My boss, Director Zhang, appeared before me as a floating face. He admitted it was the reincarnation department's mistake, not mine. But he said once you enter the reincarnation tunnel, there's no going back. As compensation, I could make one request. I didn't even pretend to be noble about it. I said I want to be reborn as a rich young lady who does nothing but eat, sleep, and enjoy life. Director Zhang looked disgusted but found a match, some girl who just killed herself by slitting her wrists. He gave me a special painting ability and a brand new space bracelet his team had just developed. Then everything went white. When I woke up, my head was splitting open from all the memories flooding in. And I wanted to curse Director Zhang out. This is the rich young lady life he promised me? I'm now in some alternate world that looks almost exactly like 1960s China. The original Dingyi had the same name and face as me, sure. But she came from a capitalist family. Her grandparents were high officials, and her grandmother's family had overseas connections and had smuggled gold and treasures abroad. With a background like that, in just 2 years, she'd be completely destroyed during the political campaigns. This isn't a life of luxury. This is a death sentence with extra steps. But wait, there was one useful thing in these memories. The original Dingyi had a military husband. Their marriage was basically loveless, though. The original girl had even threatened to kill herself to force him into a divorce. Now that I'm here, there's absolutely no way I'm letting this marriage end. Once the political storms hit, a military husband is the best protection I could ask for. My new mother was crying by my bedside, saying how scared she was and begging me never to do something so foolish again. My new father scolded me, saying I was a married woman acting crazy over an ex-boyfriend named Yang Ziyong, a guy who dumped me just because his mom said I was too spoiled. Father said my husband Shen Mingzheng was already a regiment commander at a young age with a bright future, way better than that worthless Yang Ziyong. From the memories, I pieced together what happened. Yang Ziyong was the original girl's college boyfriend. His mother didn't like her, so he dumped her. She married Shen Mingzheng on impulse, basically out of spite. Then recently, Yang Ziyong came crawling back wanting to get together again, and the original girl lost her mind and demanded a divorce from her military husband. Since military marriages are hard to dissolve, she went extreme. She slit her wrists to pressure him into agreeing. Except she cut too deep and actually died. And that's where I come in. Before I could even say a word to my parents, a man in military uniform walked into the hospital room. His eyes swept over me, cold as ice. Once he confirmed I was alive, he turned to my parents with a slightly warmer expression.
"Slightly. Mom. Dad," he said.
So this was the military husband, Shen Mingzheng. No wonder he looked at me like that. We had no real feelings between us, and then I went and tried to kill myself over another man. That's basically dancing on his last nerve. What man could accept his wife attempting suicide for her ex? My parents looked embarrassed and ashamed. Shen Mingzheng nodded at them, then turned to me and said it straight. I agree to the divorce. He pulled a piece of paper from his uniform pocket and placed it on the hospital bed. I picked it up and almost choked. It was a divorce application, already approved by the military and signed by him. All it needed was my signature to take effect immediately. My parents saw the divorce papers too. Mom immediately tried to talk Shen Mingzheng out of it, saying divorce is a big decision and he should think it over. But he was polite and firm. He said he'd already made up his mind. I could tell from his perspective. This made perfect sense. The original Ding Yi married him out of spite, regretted it immediately, and had been pushing for divorce ever since. Now she'd gone and tried to kill herself over her ex-boyfriend. In his eyes, she'd rather die than stay married to him. Why would he force it? I sent my parents out to grab lunch, so I could talk to him alone. Dad gave me a warning look before leaving, basically telling me not to mess this up. Once we were alone, I took a good look at him. About 185 centimeters tall, lean but strong in his military uniform, with sharp features and a dark complexion that made him look intimidating. Those cold eyes didn't help either. But honestly, he was exactly my type. Tall, fit, and dangerous looking. I had no idea what the original Ding Yi was thinking, turning this man down. I made my decision right there. This man, I'm keeping him. I looked him straight in the eye and said, "Comrade Shin Mingzheng, I don't agree to the divorce." He frowned, clearly suspicious. He knew about Yang Zhiyong. He knew the original me had done all of this because of that guy. So, why this sudden change of heart? "I want to join you at the military base," I said. That confused him even more. When we first got married, he'd offered to bring me along, and the original Ding Yi flat out refused. She said living on a military base was suffering and she'd rather die than go. I saw his eyes land on the bandages around my wrist, so I played it smart. After almost dying, I thought about a lot of things. I think staying married is actually a good idea. Let's start over. I'll go with you to the base and we'll build a real life together. There was no way I was letting go of this protective shield. With what's coming in 2 years, being married to a military officer is my best survival strategy. He still looked doubtful, so I laid it on thick. I told him how he rushed here the moment he heard I was hurt, how he was willing to accept the embarrassment of divorce just to keep me safe, how he'd been sending money home every month for 3 years and never forgot holidays. I called him responsible, respectful, and devoted. I said he was a great man who protected both his country and his family. I even let my voice crack a little at the end, like I was about to cry. I know how to handle a man like Shin Mingzheng. He's the responsible, duty-driven type. With guys like him, you go straight for the heart. You make them feel admired and appreciated. He looked at me, pale, weak, eyes glistening with tears, and I could see something shift in him, like a puppy about to be abandoned. He couldn't help but feel sorry for me. His tone softened. Military life is rough. The conditions are terrible. The moment I heard that shift, I pounced. "I'm not afraid of hardship. You'll have to give up your job. I can find another one. And even if I can't, I'm willing to give up my career for you." The original Ding Yi worked as a university professor. In about 2 years, that profession is going to become extremely dangerous. I had zero intention of keeping that job anyway.
He was surprised.
The old Ding Yi had said she'd never give up her dream career for anyone. Finally, he looked at me seriously. "Ding Yi, marriage is not a game. I won't tolerate you going back and forth. I'm giving you this one chance. Think carefully." I understood perfectly. Military marriages are nearly impossible to dissolve. If I choose to stay now, he'll make sure I can never leave.
He was warning me.
But I wasn't done yet. I told him I had 3 questions first. "Will you ever hit me?" "Never," he answered without hesitation. "Will you ever have another woman?" His face darkened with anger. "I am a proper soldier. I would never violate military discipline." "Last question, will you ever force me to do?" "Couple things." His face turned bright red. He clearly didn't expect me to say something that shameless in broad daylight. But I just looked at him calmly, like I was asking about the weather. After a long pause, he shook his head. Apparently the original girl regretted the marriage so fast they'd never even held hands. With all 3 answers satisfying me, I smiled. "As long as you keep those 3 promises, I'll never bring up divorce again. I'll be fully committed to this marriage." Then I picked up the divorce papers and ripped them to shreds. Tossed the pieces right into the trash can beside the bed. He stared at me, stunned. Something about my decisiveness, the look in my eyes. He could tell I was different from before. He just couldn't figure out what had changed. My parents were thrilled when they heard we weren't getting divorced. The doctor said my body was weak and I just needed better nutrition, so I was discharged that same evening. Mom invited Shin Mingjung to stay at our house, but he declined, saying he had duties. Before leaving, he told us he'd come back in 2 days to take me to the military base. I knew what he was doing. He was giving me 2 more days to change my mind. If I wanted out, he'd still agree to the divorce. 2 days was perfect for me, but not for second thoughts. I needed to figure out the gifts Director Zhang gave me before leaving. That night, I locked my bedroom door and got to work. I looked at my wrist, no bracelet in sight. But the moment I thought about it, a flash of white light crossed my wrist and information flooded into my mind. When I wished to see the space inside the bracelet, my body vanished and I appeared in an enormous empty void. It was absolutely massive, stretching endlessly in every direction. There was nothing special about it yet besides its size, so I decided to explore it more later. I left the space and moved on to testing the painting ability. Luckily, I loved drawing in my past life and was quite good at it. The original Ding Yi could also paint, so nobody would find it suspicious. I grabbed paper and a pen from the original's desk and drew an egg. Nothing happened. I tried a few more times, still nothing. Then I focused harder, pouring every bit of my concentration into the drawing, going very slowly. When I lifted the pen, a real, round egg appeared on the paper. The drawing itself vanished. I stared at it, eyes wide. This ability is incredible. In this dirt-poor 1960s era, I could become the richest person alive with just my hands. Maybe Director Zhang wasn't so bad after all. I kept drawing eggs, and my success rate kept climbing. I stored all the successful ones inside my space bracelet, so I wouldn't have to explain where a pile of eggs suddenly came from. Drawing uses up mental energy, so after a few hours I was exhausted. The next day, I stayed in my room and kept practicing. My egg success rate was nearly 100%, so I moved on to apples. Failed the first time.
Second time.
Third time. I'm stubborn by nature. The more I fail, the harder I push. After dozens of attempts, an apple finally materialized on the paper. I figure out the trick. I need total concentration, and I have to vividly imagine the object in my mind while drawing. The finished product matches my mental image exactly. I bit into the apple, crisp, sweet, and juicy. Delicious. I spent the rest of the day drawing, only stopping for meals. On the morning of the third day, Shen Mingjung arrived at our house. My parents were emotional. Mom cried and told me to be a good wife, to communicate, and to send telegrams if anything happened. Dad's eyes were red too, though he tried to play it cool, saying I was just going to the military base, not disappearing. We were still in the same province. Then Dad turned to Shen Mingjung with a serious expression. He said he was entrusting his daughter to him. He admitted I was spoiled and had a bad temper. He asked Shen Mingjung to be patient with me, and if I misbehaved, to tell him, and he'd scold me himself. But no matter what happened, he asked him never to raise a hand against me. Shen Mingjung answered seriously, "Dad, I will treat her well. I will never hit or curse at her." Mom pulled me aside for private talk. She said Shen Mingjung was a good man, not very educated, a bit rough around the edges, but since I was a teacher, I could help with that. She also mentioned his son, saying the child was innocent and I should try to be kind to him. She urged me to have my own baby soon to strengthen the marriage. I just nodded along. In my past life, my parents were researchers, always busy with classified projects, sometimes gone for months or years. Their ideals came before everything. Even if my sudden death hurt them, it wouldn't change their life path. I never really experienced proper parental love. But here, these parents genuinely cared. Even though this love was meant for the original Ding Yi, since I'd taken over her life, I wasn't going to push it away. My parents packed 2 huge suitcases, and they'd already mailed more stuff ahead. Shen Mingjung carried the luggage, and we headed for the train station. We barely spoke the entire way, though I noticed him glancing at me now and then, studying me. I pretended not to notice. After 5 hours on a slow train, we started walking. An hour passed, and we still weren't there. The surroundings got more and more remote. I was exhausted. In my past life, I never exercised. That's partly why I died from overwork. The original body was pampered and fragile too, and she just lost a lot of blood from the wrist cutting. After sitting on a train that long and then walking this far, I had nothing left. I spotted a tree stump by the road and sat right down. I can't walk anymore. Shin Mingjung looked surprised, then noticed how pale I was and frowned. He'd forgotten that I grew up sheltered and my body was still weak. He handed me his military canteen. I took it without hesitation. But when I drank, I held the bottle away from my lips and poured the water into my mouth without touching the rim. He noticed. His expression darkened slightly. He thought I was disgusted by him, just like always. After resting a bit, I forced myself up. I desperately missed my car from my past life. Now I was stuck using my own 2 legs. After another 15 minutes, my steps got slower and slower. My legs felt like they were filled with lead. Shin Mingjung could see I was struggling. There's still about 5 li to the family quarters. I can carry you on my back, or you can wait here while I go borrow a bicycle. He clearly expected me to pick the second option. After all, the old dinghy once changed and washed her clothes just because he accidentally brushed against her arm. There was no way she'd climb onto his back. I looked around. It was remote, almost no houses nearby, mountains looming close, and the sky was getting dark. No way was I staying out here alone. In my current condition, I couldn't fight off an animal or a bad person. I could hide inside my space bracelet, but I didn't want to reveal that card unless absolutely necessary. I turned to Shin Mingjung. It's that far? Can you actually carry me? He froze. He clearly didn't expect me to agree to being carried. When he didn't respond, I figured he couldn't handle it. How about you carry me part of the way and I walk the rest? He snapped out of it, gave me a complicated look, then crouched down in front of me. I climbed onto his back and wrapped my arms around his neck, so I wouldn't fall. His face turned red immediately. I noticed he smelled faintly of tobacco, not unpleasant at all, and no sweat odor whatsoever. He held both suitcases in one hand and supported me with the other, fist pressed against his back to keep me steady. I raised an eyebrow. He didn't try anything funny with his hands. Good character confirmed. His steps were steady and smooth. Before long, I fell asleep on his back. I woke up to voices. In front of me were rows of small compounds, the military family quarters. And they looked way worse than I'd imagined. Everything was built from packed earth, mud walls, mud houses, not a single brick in sight. I'd always assumed military housing would at least be brick, even in this era. Apparently not. Our arrival instantly drew attention. People had finished dinner and were either doing chores in their yards or chatting in groups. They swarmed over, asking Shin Mingjung questions. Commander Shen, you're back. Did you finalize the divorce? Who's that on your back? Did a villager get hurt? Honestly, your wife wasn't marriage material anyway. You should marry Zhang Suelian instead. She's been taking great care of little Xiaojun. You two are a perfect match. Before Shin Mingjung could respond, I whispered in his ear. Put me down. My breath against his ear made his face flush again, and he set me down immediately. Everyone got their first clear look at me, a young, pretty woman. They were confused about who I was. I smiled at them and introduced myself. Hello, everyone. I'm Shin Mingjung's wife, Ding Yi. Sorry to disappoint. We didn't get divorced. While they stood there with their jaws on the floor, I added, and whether or not I'm cut out for married life, that's really not something you need to worry about. Then I walked ahead without looking back. Behind me, I'm sure they were gossiping up a storm. Probably calling me pretty but useless, saying I had a boyfriend in the city, talking about how Zhang Suelian was so much better, hardworking, practical, good with his son. I didn't care. Shin Mingjung led me to a small compound. This is my home. I corrected him. Our home. His expression got a little awkward. He didn't argue, just opened the gate and walked in. I surveyed the yard. It wasn't big. Since it was autumn, the vegetable garden was bare. Inside were 2 small mud brick rooms. The furniture was basically nothing, an earthen bed platform, 1 cabinet, a table, and some stools. Barely better than having 4 empty walls. He put the suitcases in one room. You'll stay in this one. I glanced at the wall and noticed a green military cap hanging there. This was his room. And where will you sleep? He pointed to the room across. I'll share with Xiaojun. I pressed my lips together. So, you want us to sleep in separate rooms? He stumbled over his words. Or, do you still want a divorce? I asked. He shook his head. He told me that marrying me had been impulsive. He'd been shallow, attracted to my looks and education. When I made it clear I despised him, he'd regretted it. But he believed people should take responsibility for their choices. As long as I didn't ask for divorce or cheat on him, he'd never abandon me. The problem was that we'd always lived apart, and he had no idea how to be around me. I decided to tease him a little. I stepped forward until I was practically pressed against his chest and looked up at him. We're husband and wife. Of course, we should share a room. Do you have a problem with that? His face went bright red. My sense seemed to overwhelm him. He looked like he'd forgotten how to breathe. He stumbled backward, and after a long pause managed to choke out, "You don't find me disgusting?" When we first married, he'd wanted to share a bed. But the original Ding Yi had harshly refused. She told him he smelled like sweat and that he was never allowed on her bed. I blinked at him playfully and smiled. I like clean men. Just make sure you wash up properly. Then I turned around and went inside to unpack. He stood there frozen for a long time. I could tell, whether it was what I said or that little wink, he didn't know what to do with himself. But he couldn't deny it. I was different from the woman he'd married. And from the look on his face, he liked the change. I opened the suitcases and started putting things away. Before long, Shen Mingzheng came in and took over. Sit down and rest. I'll handle it. He grabbed the clothes right out of my hands and organized everything. His movements were quick and efficient. A man in military uniform doing housework had a certain charm to it. After that, he went to the cafeteria and brought back food. For steamed buns, half a container of spicy stir-fried potato shreds, and half a container of stewed cabbage. No meat at all. The Great Famine had ended years ago, and things should have improved by now. Surely the military could afford some meat? I didn't complain, though. I just ate. But mentally, I was already planning to improve our meals. I love meat, all kinds of meat. No way I'm living on vegetables. After eating, I moved to wash the dishes. Seemed only fair since he cooked. But he grabbed them first and told me to keep resting. I didn't argue. I genuinely don't like housework. In my past life, I'd read tons of transmigration novels where the heroine wins the hero's heart by keeping an immaculate house. Sorry, that's not my skill set. And frankly, if a man only changes his opinion of a woman because she's good at cleaning, that's not love. That's a transaction. Growing up, I had a nanny. As an adult, I ordered takeout and had a robot vacuum, a dishwasher, a smart cooking machine, and a bread maker. My hands were completely free. This era is going to take some adjusting. While Shen Mingzheng was washing dishes in the yard, a woman walked in with a child. She rushed toward him. "Brother Shen, let me do the dishes." He shook his head.
No need.
"Almost done, Daddy," the little boy said, walking up to him with an unhappy look. "What's wrong?" Shen Mingzheng looked down at him. The boy just shook his head and stayed quiet. The woman glanced toward the house. "Brother Shen, is it true your wife came?" "Yes." Her expression immediately changed. She looked disappointed. I'd been watching from inside. I figured the boy must be Shen Mingzheng's son, and the woman was probably the Zhang Zuelian everyone kept talking about. I stepped outside to get a better look at the child. He was chubby and pale-skinned, well-fed, but short. Only a little over a meter tall. According to the original's memories, the kid was 6 when she married Shen Mingzheng, so he should be 9 now. Even accounting for poor nutrition in this era, he was too short. He also seemed timid. The moment he saw me, he hid behind Zhang Zuelian. I looked at Zhang Zuelian. She was about my age, decent looking, but her face was yellowish and sickly, like she wasn't eating well. A strange contrast with the plump child beside her. She stared at me and froze. I could tell she'd never seen anyone who looked like me. Fair skin, high nose bridge, big bright eyes. I was wearing a light blue and white checkered dress with low-heeled leather shoes, my hair pinned up with loose bangs on both sides. Shen Mingzheng introduced everyone. "This is Xiaojun." And this is Tsuelian, a relative from my hometown. She helps take care of Xiaojun. She knows the family quarters well. You can ask her if you need anything. I nodded. Hello. Xiaojun stayed hidden behind Tsuelian and didn't come out. Zhang Tsuelian stammered a nervous greeting. She seemed insecure, almost like she felt small standing next to me. Shen Mingzheng looked at his son sternly. Xiaojun, come out and greet her properly. The boy shrank back, slowly stepped out, but stubbornly refused to speak. Zhang Tsuelian quickly shielded him again. Brother Shen, Xiaojun is shy. Give him time to adjust. Shen Mingzheng's face hardened. Xiaojun, greet her. This is basic manners. Don't make me say it a third time. He was used to commanding soldiers. His tone naturally came out cold and sharp. Every time he got like this, the boy looked terrified. Xiaojun glanced at me, quickly dropped his head, and mumbled, "Hello, Annie." Being called Andy threw me off. In my past life, people called me Miss or Big Sis or at worst Ma'am. Suddenly being Annie was a lot. But I recovered and nodded. Hello. At least he said Annie and not Mom. I definitely wasn't ready to be called Mom by a 9-year-old. I pulled some white rabbit milk candies from my pocket and offered them to him. He looked at them but didn't take any. Instead, he stepped back and grabbed Zhang Tsuelian's hand. She smiled and said, "Thank you, sister-in-law. Xiaojun just ate. He probably doesn't want sweets. I'll thank you on his behalf." I raised an eyebrow and put the candy back in my pocket. Sure, Xiaojun is Shen Mingzheng's son. And yes, I'm interested in his father. But that doesn't mean I need to beg for approval from the people around him. Shen Mingzheng is a strong ally to have, and I want to hold on to him. But if it doesn't work out, that's fine too. I have my space and my painting ability. Even in chaotic times, I can protect myself and my family. As for Zhang Tsuelian, she seemed harmless on the surface, but everything she said and did sent the same message. She and Xiaojun were closer. She was marking her territory. I'd keep my eye on her and see what she was really after. I was tired, so I went back inside to rest. Behind me, I heard Zhang Tsuelian ask quietly, "Brother Shen, what is your wife here for?" "She's joining the military family quarters." Her voice jumped. "She's staying?" "Yes." Shen Mingzheng didn't seem to notice her reaction. His mind was on Xiaojun. The boy was too timid for a boy. He tried taking him hunting twice to build courage, but both times Xiaojun came home sick with a fever, so he'd given up on that idea. Then Zhang Tsuelian's voice came again, trembling slightly. "Brother Shen, you said you were going to divorce her. Why did you change your mind?" Shen Mingzheng didn't want to discuss the divorce situation with Zhang Tsuelian. He just told her it was late and she should head home, then took Xiaojun inside. I could tell she was barely holding back tears. She'd clearly been counting on our divorce. Everyone in the family quarters had told her she'd be the next wife. And now that dream was falling apart. That night, Shen Mingzheng heated water for me to wash up. I really wanted a proper bath, but there was no bathroom here. Even the toilet was just an outdoor pit latrine. The smell was awful. I went once and swore never again. I made a decision right then. I'm renovating this place. If I have to live here long term, I refuse to suffer. I wiped myself down, got on the earthen bed, and lay on the new bedding Mom had packed for me. I started planning what to do tomorrow. Shen Mingzheng washed up in the yard with cold water in a simple wooden shower shed. After that, he hesitated before coming into my room. He thought I was asleep, so he quietly laid out a separate set of bedding next to mine, with a gap between us, and went to sleep. I noticed everything, but kept my eyes closed. More proof of his good character. He didn't try anything. The next morning, breakfast was from the cafeteria again. 6 steamed buns, pickled cucumber, and stir-fried greens. Xiaojun was a big eater. He wolfed down 2.5 buns. Shen Mingzheng ate 2. I managed 1. After the meal, Xiaojun left immediately for Zhang Tsuelian's place. Shen Mingzheng explained that Tsuelian made lunch and dinner for Xiaojun, and he paid her 30 yuan a month for their expenses. I had no issue with that. Then he went to the cabinet and pulled out a bank book, a stack of cash, and a pile of ration tickets. He handed everything to me. "This is all our money. You keep it from now on. My monthly allowance is 120 yuan. 30 goes to Tsuilian, 30 to my family back home. The remaining 60 is yours. I looked it over. About 100 in cash, over 500 in savings, plus cloth tickets, grain tickets, me tickets. I did the math. After our marriage, the original Ding Yi had been receiving 60 yuan a month from him. That was already half his pay. With 30 to Tsuilian and 30 to his family, he kept nothing for himself. No wonder his cabinet was nearly empty. Just 2 worn military uniforms and a few undershirts with frayed sleeves. How did you save anything at all? I asked. When I complete missions and earn military merit, there are sometimes bonuses. I'll give those to you too. I raised my next concern. You know I spend money like water. Aren't you afraid I'll blow through it all? He didn't hesitate. I can't give you a luxurious life. Marrying me is already a sacrifice for you. But I'll do my best to give you the best I can within my means. I smiled. A real, bright, full smile. This man is genuinely good. I stepped forward, grabbed his collar, pulled his head down, and kissed him on the cheek. His entire face went red. The spot where I kissed him seemed to burn. He almost stuttered as he told me the military had a shuttle bus every Sunday that went to the county town for shopping. I grinned even wider. Got it. My bright smile and curved eyes made him stare. He'd never seen this expression on my face before. He caught himself and snapped out of it. I decided to stop teasing him for now. Flirting has to be gradual. Too much too fast, and it loses its magic. But sooner or later, I'm going to reel this man in completely. Switching to business, I asked if he minded me renovating the house. He looked around and agreed it was too bare. He offered to build some cabinets himself. He'd learned basic woodworking from someone. He said he could handle simple pieces, but nothing too complicated. I told him I'd draw blueprints for him to follow. Then I mentioned wanting to fix the toilet situation and asked if he could get materials. He said to give him a list, and he'd figure it out. You're amazing, I told him. He looked completely thrown off by the compliment. He couldn't understand it. Before, the old me had always criticized him for being useless. Now I was praising him for the smallest things. After he left for drills, I locked the doors and windows. Using my painting ability, I drew a measuring tape into existence, then measured every inch of the house. After that, I sketched designs for a wardrobe, a dish cabinet, a lounge chair, and an improved shower shed. Regular drawing didn't use my mental energy at all, so I finished everything by noon. Shen Mingzheng had said he wouldn't be back for lunch and told me to get food from the cafeteria. I didn't bother going. Instead, I ate some malted milk powder and peach cookies Mom had packed, plus an apple for my space. Tomorrow was Sunday. I could take the shuttle to town and go shopping. In the afternoon, I tested my space bracelet and painting ability more thoroughly. I discovered that time inside the space passes normally, but nothing stored in there spoils or changes. Everything stays perfectly fresh. I also found that I could draw something and choose not to materialize it. The drawing would stay as a drawing until I decided to make it real. This meant I could stockpile paintings in advance and turn them into real objects whenever I needed them. But there were limits. I could only create simple, natural things. Anything requiring processing or manufacturing was impossible. For example, I could draw an apple and make it real, but I couldn't draw a glass of apple juice. And I could only create dead objects, no living things. I tried drawing chickens, ducks, and geese over and over. Nothing worked. I even tried ants. Same result. Just when I was getting discouraged, someone shouted from the yard with a booming voice. Commander Shen's wife. You home? I immediately swept everything into my space and went to see who it was. I stepped outside and found a woman standing in my yard, maybe around 40 years old. The moment she saw me, she got overly friendly. Oh my goodness, you really are gorgeous. No wonder Commander Shen won't divorce you, even though you can't have babies. I wouldn't either. I frowned at that. She slapped her thigh. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Luo Xiaofan from next door. My husband is the political commissar. Everyone calls me Sister Xiaofan. Then she circled around me like I was livestock at an auction. She commented on my figure, said my hips were too narrow for childbearing, predicted Shen Mingzheng would have no heirs, pointed at the bandages on my wrist, and gasped about my suicide attempt, then demanded to know why we didn't go through with the divorce.
Ich zerrte her coldly.
Are you done? She didn't even notice I was angry and kept pushing. Was it you who didn't want the divorce, or him? I let her have it. What business is it of yours? Do you have nothing better to do? If you're so good at having babies, go home and pop out a few more litters. Whether I get divorced is between me and Shin Mingjung. The country promotes freedom of marriage. Are you trying to interfere? Do you think you're bigger than the country? That political accusation rattled her instantly. Her face went through every shade of red and purple. She sputtered that she was just being kind, and I was ungrateful. More like you dressed up nosiness as kindness, I said. Don't bring that fake concern to my door again. It makes me sick. I pointed at the gate. Get out.
Slowly.
I won't be seeing you off. She stormed away, shouting that she'd tell Shin Mingjung to deal with me when he got back. I couldn't have cared less. The original Dingyi was a spoiled, outspoken rich girl, which actually matched my personality. I don't hold back when someone crosses the line. In my past life, I was buried in research, had very few friends, and became a loner. I don't see anything wrong with that. Time wasted on pointless socializing is time I could spend improving myself. Once you're strong enough, you don't need to beg anyone for approval. Besides, with all my secrets, I need privacy. Having everyone keep their distance works perfectly for me. And if anyone does come looking for trouble, I'm more than ready. Since it was autumn, everyone was out drying vegetables for winter storage, so plenty of people heard my exchange with Luo Xiofan. Most of them decided I was rude and hot-tempered and planned to stay away from me. Exactly what I wanted. That evening, Shin Mingjung came home from training. Luo Xiofan had been camped outside her gate all afternoon, waiting for him. She'd spent hours stewing in anger and was determined to get revenge. She timed it perfectly. Lots of soldiers were walking back together, and her husband, Political Commissar Zhao, was right beside Shin Mingjung. With a big audience, she launched into her performance. Commander Shin, you must stand up for me today. She poured out her sob story, how she'd gone to our house out of pure kindness, offered to help his new wife settle in, and I threw her out and told her to get lost. She demanded justice. Shin Mingjung frowned. He hadn't expected me to cause trouble on my very first day. A crowd gathered quickly. He knew if this wasn't handled well, it would ruin my reputation here. He chose his words carefully. Sister-in-law, could there be some misunderstanding? What misunderstanding? If you don't believe me, call your wife out here and ask her yourself. Did she tell me to get lost or not? I'd heard everything from inside. I walked out, and the crowd parted to let me through. Shin Mingjung looked at me. There must be some misunderstanding between you and sister-in-law. Don't be afraid. Just explain what happened. I immediately understood what he was really saying. If I was in the wrong, I should call it a misunderstanding, smooth things over with a quick explanation, and move on. But if I wasn't in the wrong, he had my back and I didn't need to be afraid. Luo Xiofan jumped in before I could speak. Just admit it, did you tell me to get lost? Everyone in the yard heard it, so don't even try to deny it. Yes, I said it. So what? You all heard her. She admitted it. Commander Shin, you owe me an explanation today. She went on about how she may not be educated or employed, but she was the most helpful person in the family quarters. Everyone respected her. She accused me of bullying her to assert dominance on my first day, then took it further. She asked if Shin Mingjung had put me up to it, to deliberately humiliate her and her husband Commissar Zhao. That's when Zhao Youfu stepped in. Commander Shen, you didn't order this, did you? This kind of thing undermines military unity. Everyone turned to look at Shin Mingjung. On the surface, he and the commissar got along fine. But everyone knew they were rivals. And the accusation of undermining military unity was serious. If it stuck, Shin Mingjung could face disciplinary action. Shin Mingjung stood tall, his voice commanding and powerful. As commander of this regiment, nobody wants unity more than I do. Only through unity can we fight our enemies, complete our missions, and defend our country. His words hit hard. Every soldier in the crowd instinctively straightened up. Their commander was a patriot. He'd never deliberately sabotaged military unity. But Luo Xiofan wasn't giving up. Even if you didn't do it, what about your wife? She's a capitalist's daughter. Of course, she looks down on common folk like us. The 1st Battalion commander's wife chimed in, confirming she'd heard me tell Luo Xiofan to get lost. Shen Mingzheng glanced at me. I stood there completely calm. Then he said something that surprised me. He isn't that kind of person. She wouldn't bully anyone without reason. There must be more to this. I raised an eyebrow. He was defending me even after I'd openly admitted to cursing at Luo Xiofan. I'd been fully prepared. If he'd told me to apologize, I would have cursed him out too and stopped flirting with him for good. I can't stand stupidity. The men I like need more than just a handsome face and a fit body. They need brains. His performance pleased me. My turn now. I did curse at her because she deserved it, I said, loud and clear. Your husband is the political commissar. You should understand the importance of proper ideology. You came to my house, spread rumors that I can't have children, and cursed my husband to die, without an heir. Why shouldn't I tell you to get lost? Before she could defend herself, I turned to Commissar Zhao. Does my marriage to Shen Mingzheng have anything to do with you? He frowned. Of course not. Does whether we have children concern you? It has nothing to do with me, he said irritably. Then that's interesting, I said with a cold smile. Our marriage and our children are none of your business, but somehow they're your wife's business? What's she after? Does she have her eye on my husband? Is she waiting for me to divorce him so she can have him? Or maybe she wants to have his baby behind your back. Dead silence. Everyone's jaws hit the ground. This was the juiciest drama they'd witnessed in a long time. Shen Mingzheng reacted first, hissing at me to stop talking nonsense. I shrugged. Am I wrong? When someone is clearly after my husband, should I roll out a red carpet for her? The crowd's opinion of Luo Xiofan shifted instantly. So that's why she rushed over the moment the new wife arrived. She was trying to drive me away. The soldiers looked at Commissar Zhao with pity. Every man understood how humiliating this was for him. Zhao's face went purple with rage. He turned on his wife. What exactly did you do? She's lying. I never did any of that. Luo Xiofan panicked. This was supposed to be her revenge. How did it flip around on her? Then she lunged at me, screaming she'd rip my mouth apart. Shen Mingzheng immediately stepped in front of me, shielding me with his body. I looked at his broad back and smiled. This man really is something. Commissar Zhao, control your wife, he said firmly. Everyone else dismissed. He grabbed my wrist and walked me home. Inside, he let go and seemed like he wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. I don't like people beating around the bush.
Just say it.
But if you're going to tell me I was wrong today, save your breath. He paused, then actually laughed. If I'm not home and someone gives you trouble, send Xiaojun to find me. He knows where I am. I wasn't expecting that. My stiff expression melted into a smile. He stared at me, completely dazed. When I wasn't smiling, I looked cold. But when I did smile, it was like sunshine, bright and stunning. I stepped closer and poked his chest with my finger. Good answer. You earned points today. He stumbled backward and nearly crashed into the doorframe. I'll go get dinner from the cafeteria. He practically fled. I looked at my finger and muttered, not bad. Pretty firm. I wasn't interested in cafeteria food, so I had some malted milk powder and ate a bunch of grapes I'd painted earlier. By the time Shen Mingzheng returned, I'd finished and hidden the grape skins and seeds in my space. He smelled fruit in the room and assumed the sweet fragrance was coming from me. His face got flushed and he busied himself with washing his hands and setting the table. When he opened the food containers, I smelled meat. The cafeteria had braised pork belly today, my favorite. I completely ignored the stir-fried potatoes. Shen Mingzheng noticed my eyes light up at the meat. During the meal, he only ate potatoes and didn't touch a single piece of pork. I was enjoying myself until I accidentally dropped a piece of meat on the table. Even though the table was clean, I couldn't bring myself to eat it. In my past life, I never ate anything that fell. It's just a habit, a cleanliness thing. Without a word, Shen Mingzheng picked up the fallen piece and put it in his own bowl. That made me pause. I pushed the container toward him. How about we split the meat? He scraped the potatoes into his own bowl and pushed the container back. You're too thin. Eat more meat. I didn't argue. Being coy isn't my style. But I mentally noted that tomorrow, when I go to town, I'm buying a ton of meat. I refuse to live like a monk. After dinner, he cleaned up, washed dishes, swept the floor. I relaxed happily. I'd been missing my robot vacuum and dishwasher, but honestly, this man had plenty of useful features built in. Once he finished, I showed him the furniture blueprints I'd drawn. He was surprised. You know how to design furniture? Not really. I just sketched what I need. He studied every drawing carefully and nodded. It's a bit complicated, but I think I can manage. I gave him a thumbs up. Wow, you're incredible. The compliment caught him off guard again, but I could tell he was secretly pleased. The next morning after breakfast, I headed to the family quarters entrance to catch the truck going to town. The moment I showed up, everyone went quiet. They'd obviously been gossiping about me. That's fine. Talk all you want, as long as I don't hear it. But if I do catch you, well then, good luck. The military truck arrived, and everyone climbed into the back. It was packed, people squeezed shoulder to shoulder. Except around me, there was a magical empty bubble of space wherever I stood. Everyone looked at me with fear instead of the nosy curiosity from when I first arrived. Clearly yesterday's showdown with Luo Xiofan had spread through the entire family quarters. Someone must have gone around telling everyone. Being isolated didn't bother me at all. Fresh air and personal space? Yes, please. Especially since not everyone here bathes daily, and a crowd in autumn still has a smell. Just before the truck left, Zhang Zuelian came running with Xiaojun. The boy was so chubby he got tired after a few steps. The driver waited for them happily, calling out, "Sister Zuelian, take your time, Sister Zuelian." Interesting title. I noted that with a small smile. Since the only open space on the truck was next to me, they ended up standing right beside me. People immediately started talking. "Zuelian, you've taken such good care of Xiaojun. Every other kid around here looks like a skinny monkey, but Xiaojun is so plump. You must be giving him all the good food and starving yourself. Look how thin you are. Commander Shen is so lucky. He hands over his kid completely and doesn't have to worry at all. By the way, Zuelian, did Commander Shen say whether you'll still be taking care of Xiaojun now that his wife is here?" All eyes turned to me. Brother Shen didn't say anything to me. Xiaojun still comes to my place every day, like usual. He's shy and doesn't take well to strangers, Zhang Zuelian said, then glanced at me before quickly looking down. I was wearing a white ruffled blouse, blue flared pants, and black low-heeled leather shoes. I'm tall, and the outfit made me look elegant. Zhang Zuelian was also wearing blue, but her loose-fitting polyester top and pants hung off her thin frame, making her look plain and older than her age. Standing side by side, the contrast was stark. I didn't look at her. I watched Xiaojun instead. He kept peeking at me from behind her, then jerking his head back whenever our eyes met. A boy this timid worried me. In this era, boys his age ran around like wild animals. Their parents were too busy earning work points to supervise them. Xiaojun's extreme shyness didn't fit this time period at all. But he wasn't really my business. Shen Mingjing trusted Zhang Zuelian with him, and how she raised the boy was her affair. I wasn't going to interfere. I spent the ride enjoying the scenery. The countryside here was untouched, no pollution, no development, just clean air and beautiful views near the mountains. When we reached town, I asked the driver what time the truck was heading back, then went off on my own while everyone else walked in groups. I found the department store first. I bought cooking seasonings, canned hawthorn, peach cookies, and white rabbit milk candies. Then I went to the meat shop and bought 10 pounds of pork, 80 cents per pound, 8 yuan total plus meat ration tickets. To me that was nothing, but for most families here, that was a fortune. In this era, eating meat monthly was a luxury. Even in the family quarters where husbands had military pay, families might have meat twice a month at best, and the kids always ate first. Buying 10 pounds at once was practically unheard of. Since I'd be eating this at home, I didn't hide it in my space. I carried everything in my right hand, since my left wrist was still injured. On my way to the pickup point, a woman approached me. "Commander Shen's wife, you bought so much. Let me help you carry it." I recognized her. On the truck this morning, She was the only one whose gaze held pure admiration without any malice. No thanks, I'm fine. Don't be polite. I can see your hand is hurt. My basket is clean. I put fresh cloth in it this morning. I looked at what she'd bought. Just a tiny bit of white sugar, maybe less than half a pound. After a moment, I handed over my bags. Are you a military wife too? She loaded everything into her basket and swung it onto her back easily. I'm Sun Geely. My husband is Sun Dagong, the 2nd Battalion commander. I've been here for a few years and know the area well. If you ever need help finding something or want to go somewhere, come find me. We're all neighbors, helping each other is what we do. I understood immediately. She was smart. She introduced herself by telling me exactly who her husband was and where he stood, not to flatter me, but to show me whose side they were on. Thank you, Sister Sunday. I pretended not to catch the underlying message and chatted with her as we walked. I didn't dislike Sun Geely at all. I enjoy talking to smart people. And I wanted to learn about the family quarters dynamics. From our conversation, I pieced together the situation. The 1st Battalion commander was aligned with Commissar Zhao Youfu. The 2nd Battalion commander, Sun Dagong, supported Shen Mingjing. The family quarters looked peaceful on the surface, but everyone had their own agenda underneath. At the pickup point, Sun Geely set the basket down beside her feet and stood near me. We didn't talk on the truck, that was smart too. But people noticed the huge piece of meat in the basket. Ma Wan, the 1st Battalion commander's wife, immediately started stirring trouble. Oh my, Dagong's wife, spending big today. You usually can't even afford meat once a month. Did you blow your whole budget? Is Dagong not sending money home to his parents anymore? Everyone knew Sun Dagong's parents were sick, and he had younger siblings to support. Most of his pay went back home, leaving his family barely scraping by. Ma Wan was hitting where it hurt. I wasn't about to let Sun Geely take heat for my purchases. Those are all mine, I said. Ma Wan blinked, then smirked. Commander Shin's pay might be a bit higher, but it won't survive your spending habits. I glared at Ma Wan. I have money, and I have ration tickets. I'll buy whatever I want. Who do you think you are, running your mouth at me? If you're jealous, go ask your husband for more money. If he can't afford it, smack him around and tell him to work harder and earn some military merit. And if you're too scared to hit him, smack yourself in the mouth instead and stop drooling over what other people buy. She opened and closed her mouth several times before managing a weak response. Even if your husband is the commander, you can't bully people. I didn't even say anything bad. You didn't say anything? Then who called me a spendthrift just now? Did a dog say it? I didn't care about my reputation one bit. Better to scare them all at once, so they'd stop coming around to bother me later. They should be more worried about getting roasted than I am about roasting them. Ma Wan kept shooting me angry looks. Don't look at me like that. If you've got the guts, come at me. If not, keep your eyes shut. Don't mess with me. If you make me unhappy, I'll make your whole family miserable. That's just who I am. I hold grudges and I hit back harder. People can talk about being kind and forgiving all they want. It depends on whether the other person deserves it. My moral standards are flexible and adjust based on how people treat me. Everyone on the truck went dead silent. Nobody expected me to be this fierce. Even the ones who didn't like me kept their mouths shut. None of them thought they could match me in a verbal fight. Then Zhang Tsuelian spoke up. Sister-in-law, maybe you should say less. Brother Shen is the commander after all. You represent him. This doesn't look good. I turned on her without hesitation. He hasn't said a word about it. So, who are you to lecture me? If you've got a problem, go tell him yourself and have him come talk to me directly. Her voice got small, and her eyes turned red. Sister-in-law, I'd never report you. I just want what's best for Brother Shin. I don't care what you want. I'm telling you right now, stop sticking your nose in my business. My life is none of your concern. And if you care about him so much, go tell him yourself. I'm not your messenger. I'm sorry, she whispered and dropped her head. She looked absolutely pitiful, like I'd just bullied an innocent kitten. Xiaojun hid even deeper behind her, clearly more afraid of me than ever. In his mind, I was the villain who hurt his beloved Auntie Tsuelian. I didn't care what any of them thought. I've already lived one life. If I can't even be free and honest in this one, what's the point? When the truck stopped at the family quarters, I jumped off first. Son Gili followed and naturally picked up the basket.
I didn't argue this time.
After we walked away, everyone on the truck let out a collective breath of relief. I could practically hear the gossip starting up behind me. Son Gili carried everything to my door. When I took my things out, I left a packet of peach cookies in her basket. Thank you for today. She tried to give them back. I can't accept this. I'm strong. Carrying a little weight is nothing.
Don't worry about it.
Just come find me whenever you need help. I looked at her. Everyone's scared of me. You're not, she smiled. You don't bite. Besides, they started it every time. I asked her directly. Why do you think I won't divorce Shen Mingjing? It was a real question. He was the highest-ranking officer here. Logically, everyone should be trying to get on my good side. But they weren't, because they all assumed I'd be gone soon. Son Gili was the only exception. She answered honestly. You're different from the rest of them. As for your marriage, that's not my place to guess. Commander Shen is fair, whether we're friendly or not, whether you stay married or not, he'll treat everyone the same. If you do stay, then my bet paid off. And honestly, I really admire you. You live the way I wish I could. I gave her a genuine smile. You're the only smart person in this whole place. Keep the cookies. I don't like owing people favors. And I'll probably be coming to you for help a lot. She accepted this time. Anytime. Back home, I cut the pork into 4 pieces. 1 for tonight's dinner, 2 for salting and preserving, and 1 went straight into my space where it would stay perfectly fresh. I planned to make braised pork with potatoes. We had no potatoes, so I drew 2 and materialized them. I also pulled out some eggs from my stash. The county had a vegetable market, but I'd already been carrying too much today with my injured wrist. I needed to figure out a proper way to get vegetables. I couldn't keep painting them every time without raising suspicion. After prepping the potatoes, meat, and sliced cucumbers, I hit a wall. We had some rice, but no rice cooker. In my past life, I used electric cookers and modern stoves. I'd never cooked on a traditional earthen stove. There was 1 pot in the kitchen and 1 outside in the yard. I decided to try the outdoor one. At least if something went wrong, I wouldn't burn the house down. I found matches by the kitchen stove and grabbed some firewood from the corner of the yard. I stuffed wood into the fire pit, then looked for kindling. All I could find were a few sheets of paper, but I needed those for drawing. So I grabbed a basket and headed to the foot of the mountain behind us, where I gathered a big load of fallen autumn leaves. I stuffed some into my space too. Back home, I piled the leaves into the fire pit and started trying to light them. I tried and tried. Match after match. I blew until I was dizzy. Nothing caught properly. I was almost out of matches. I gave up. I simply cannot cook on this thing. I went back inside and flopped onto the earthen bed, deciding to just wait it out. I wasn't that hungry anyway. I had food in my space if I really needed it. Between the blood loss from the wrist cutting and general exhaustion, I've been incredibly sleepy lately. I lay down and passed out almost immediately. I hadn't been asleep long when the fire pit outside apparently decided to come alive on its own. Black smoke started pouring out, not from the top, but spreading outward from the pit, growing thicker by the minute. The smoke spread across the yard, and the neighbors spotted it fast. Someone screamed, "Fire! Commander Shen's house is on fire." People came running with buckets and basins. I'll give them credit, even the ones who didn't like me still showed up to help. Well, most of them. Ma Wan and Luo Xiofan stayed home. Son Gili sent her kids to the military base to get help. When everyone arrived at my yard, they were confused. Thick black smoke everywhere, but no actual flames. Nobody dared get close at first. Even they knew black smoke could be more dangerous than fire. I'd already woken up when I heard Son Gili shouting my name from outside. I looked out and saw the rolling smoke. I was startled, but the bedroom window was open, so only a little smoke had drifted in, unpleasant but not deadly. I couldn't hide in my space. It doesn't move on its own, so if I vanished and reappeared, there'd be no way to explain it. The front door area was thick with smoke, too risky. I was about to climb out through the back window when a figure burst through the smoke and charged inside. Before I could say anything, Shen Mingjing shouted at me. "Are you 3 years old?" There's a fire, and you don't know to run. He scooped me up, carried me to the window, lowered me out, then jumped down himself. Then, he picked me up again, and carried me around to the front yard. I tried to squirm free, but his arms were locked tight. He barked, "Stop moving." I was actually getting angry. He didn't even ask if I was okay. He just yelled at me the moment he arrived. But when I looked up, I saw the yard was packed. Neighbors, soldiers with water buckets, all working to put out the smoke. Because there were never really any flames. Just clouds of black smoke. Then I remembered. When I gave up trying to start the fire earlier, I'd left all those dried leaves scattered on the ground. Some were piled right in front of the fire pit opening. I thought nothing had caught. Apparently, I was wrong. Everyone relaxed when they saw I was fine. One woman slapped her thigh. Thank goodness she's okay. I thought Commander Shen's wife was going to. She didn't finish, but everyone understood. Shen Mingjing's face got even darker. I climbed out of his arms and, putting my argument with him aside for the moment, turned to smile at the crowd. Thank you all for coming to help. Let me get you some water. I may not want to socialize with these people, but I'm not ungrateful. If someone helps me, I acknowledge it. When I moved toward the house, Shen Mingjing grabbed my wrist. Don't go in. The house is full of smoke. Stand here and don't move. We'll talk about this later. That froze me. I could feel my temper rising. He was ordering me around like a soldier. Before I could explode, Sun Geely stepped in. We're all neighbors, no need for thanks. You're safe, that's what matters. We should head back. Everyone's got food cooking at home. People scattered immediately. One woman ran off yelling that her vegetables were definitely burnt. Another shouted at her kid to go check their stove before their house caught fire too. As they walked away, I could see them glancing back. They were all wondering the same thing. Was Shen Mingjing going to hit me once they left? He was famously strict. Soldiers in the regiment were terrified when he got angry. Rumor had it he'd even punched people who made mistakes. I ignored their curiosity and kept smiling as I thanked everyone. Sorry for the trouble today. The house needs cleaning up, so I won't keep you. I'll come thank each of you properly another day. They were probably thinking, cleaning up could mean the house or her, probably both. Shen Mingjing dismissed the soldiers with a look and they marched off. Sun Geely was the last to leave. She squeezed my hand and whispered, if he gets angry, just apologize. You have no idea. When the smoke was that thick, none of us dared go near it, but he ran straight in like his life didn't matter. I glanced at Shen Mingjing. I almost got hurt, and he doesn't even care. And now I'm supposed to apologize to him? What law says that? It was just a pile of burning leaves. The way he's acting, you'd think I burned the whole house down. If I had, would he have hit me? Sun Geely sighed. I know you grew up pampered in the city, but sometimes men need to be handled gently. Shen Mingjing is young, high-ranking, and handsome. Plenty of women have their eyes on him. Zhang Suelian is just waiting for you to divorce him. If you fight with him and it leads to a split, isn't that exactly what she wants? I could tell she genuinely cared about me. Her concern warmed my heart a little. But I gave her my honest answer. Sister Sun, I know you mean well. He is excellent, and yes, he's in demand. But if he's going to blow up at me over something this small, then no matter how great he is, I don't need him. I'm a modern, independent woman from the 21st century. I was raised to believe in equality between men and women. Even in this era, I won't change that. I won't grovel for any man. My rule is simple. Love yourself, be yourself. Life is short. Happiness comes first. Sun Geely saw the determination in my eyes and stopped trying to convince me. She patted my hand and left, still looking worried. Once everyone was gone, the smile vanished from my face. I turned to look at Shen Mingjing. Neither of us looked happy. I glared at Shen Mingjing, refusing to back down. I don't bend to pressure. Never have, never will. He looked confused by my expression, like he couldn't understand why I was the one who was angry. He was about to say something when Zhang Suelian showed up with Xiaojun. She gasped at the mess in the yard. She'd been out at a nearby village trading for eggs and had missed the whole smoke incident. Without waiting for an explanation, she walked right in and started poking around. Oh my, all this meat is ruined. What a waste. This could have lasted several meals. I was already in a bad mood. That pushed me over the edge. You already know I bought that meat. Who are you putting on this show for? Even if I waste it, it's my family's business. Nothing to do with you. Xiaojun suddenly stepped forward, shielding Zhang Zuelian behind him. The boy who was normally too scared to breathe around me suddenly got brave. Don't talk to my Auntie Zuelian like that. You bullied her this morning, and now you're doing it again. You're a bad woman. Dad, make her leave. She's going to drive Auntie Zuelian away, and I don't want her to go. His eyes filled with tears. I bullied her. I looked at him. My expression must have been sharp, because he flinched and dove back behind Zhang Zuelian, crying. Zhang Zuelian wrapped her arms around him protectively. Don't be like that.
Talk nicely.
Xiaojun is sensitive. You'll scare him. I almost laughed from the sheer ridiculousness. I said 4 words, and I'm scaring people? Am I a tiger? A ghost? They're openly bad-mouthing me to my face, and somehow I'm the villain? Then Zhang Zuelian made it worse. Xiaojun said the wrong thing. I apologize on his behalf. Please don't be angry. Don't hit or scold him. It was my fault for speaking out of turn. I'm sorry. That made Xiaojun cry even harder. Dad, she really is a bad woman. She's hurting Auntie Zuelian. I'm not lying. Shen Mingjing frowned and looked between Zhang Zuelian and me. His eyes had that examining look again. I was already furious, and that look made it worse. What are you staring at me for? You think I bullied her too? Want to defend her? He didn't answer. Instead, he turned to Zhang Zuelian. What actually happened? She shook her head sweetly. It's nothing, Brother Shen. Xiaojun just cares about me. You haven't eaten yet, right? Let me clean up and cook dinner. I'll wash the smoked meat. It's still good. Meat tastes great no matter how you cook it. Give me your dirty clothes too. I'll wash them before I go. She went straight for the storage shed, grabbed a basket, and started gathering the wet leaves like she owned the place. Like she was the woman of this house. That infuriated me. This is my home. I'm Shen Mingjing's wife. She was overstepping. But every time I shot her a cold look, she'd shrink back like a scared little rabbit, acting as if I'd just attacked her. I'm not the type to waste energy on internal battles. My philosophy is simple. Take care of yourself and let the people who annoy you deal with it. So I said it directly. Nobody asked you. I don't need you cooking in my kitchen. That meat could rot in the dirt, and it still wouldn't be your concern. Xiaojun wailed even louder, like I'd physically hit him. The noise gave me a headache. He's 9 years old. A boy. Why does he cry this much? I just want to help, Zhang Zuelian said softly. It'd be such a waste to throw away all that meat. Brother Shen works so hard for his money. Before I could respond, Shen Mingjing stepped in. I'll handle the cleanup. You should go home. He took the basket from her hands. Zhang Zuelian looked hurt. Brother Shen, let me do it.
You've been training all day.
I'll clean up, wash the meat, do your laundry. No need. I'll handle it myself. From now on, Xiaojun will walk to your place on his own in the morning and come back on his own at night. He's old enough to be independent. You don't need to pick him up and drop him off anymore. He'd figured it out. I didn't like Zhang Zuelian. Whatever the reason, if we couldn't get along, the solution was to reduce contact. Zhang Zuelian's voice cracked. Brother Shen, did I do something wrong? Your job is to take care of Xiaojun. Just do that. The message was clear. Everything else about this household was none of her business. Hearing him say that made my anger cool down considerably. But I used to come here and help around the house all the time. Now you don't want me anymore? Shen Mingjing frowned. Something about her phrasing sounded off. He glanced at me instinctively and saw my expression darken. He quickly clarified. Before, you came to wash Xiaojun's clothes. Just focus on taking care of him.
Don't worry about me.
And you don't need to do housework here anymore. So, you're saying I can never come to your house again? He nodded. If there's something. Before he could finish, she burst into tears, grabbed Xiaojun's hand, and ran out of the yard. Shen Mingjing frowned, wondering if he'd been too harsh. As I turned to go inside, he suddenly spoke up, his tone serious. You don't like Zuelian and Xiaojun. Am I required to? He sighed. Xiaojun isn't my biological son. He's my fallen comrade's child. His father died in battle. When I visited the family afterward, I found the boy begging for food in the village. His mother had remarried and left him behind. So I brought him home. I raised an eyebrow. Xiaojun wasn't his kid. The original Ding Yi never cared enough about Shen Mingjun to learn basic details like this. I hope you can try to be kind to him, he said. He's had a hard life. He told the original girl he had a child but never mentioned the boy wasn't biologically his. He'd been afraid she'd treat Xiaojun badly if she knew. But something about me recently made him want to share the truth. I nodded. He's an orphan of a martyr. I'll try to treat him well. My willingness had nothing to do with Shen Mingjun. Every person who sacrifices their life for the country and its people deserves respect. Their children deserve to be properly cared for. But this also told me something about Shen Mingjun himself. He was compassionate and responsible. Points earned. And the way he handled Zhang Xuelian just now, clean, direct, no ambiguity. More points. His expression softened. I'll treat you twice as well from now on. Hold on. I stared at him. Answer me first. Would you treat me better because I'm good to Xiaojun? Or because you genuinely want to treat me well? Is there a difference? Of course there is. I want your feelings for me to be pure, not tied to anyone else. I don't need you to change your opinion of me because of what I do for other people. He looked confused, like he half understood but not quite. I sighed. Men and women really do think differently. Never mind. I'll explain it to you slowly over time. For now, let's settle today's score. He blinked. What score? I started my complaints. You were mean to me today. It was just a pile of leaves. You glared at me, you yelled at me. If I'd actually burned the house down, would you have hit me? He quickly said, I would never hit you. Glaring isn't allowed either. Neither is yelling. I didn't. You did. I wasn't letting this go. You stood there in front of all those people with that angry face. Who was that for? Next time you act like that toward me, this marriage is over. His face darkened again. You, don't give me that look. I just told you no more angry faces. He froze for a second, then caught himself. A few moments later his expression softened slightly, but his eyes stayed serious. I told you before. You get one chance. The decision isn't yours to make. I knew he meant the divorce. I was about to argue when he continued, but I heard what you said today. I'll be more careful in the future. Also, I wasn't trying to be cold to you earlier. I was. He trailed off. You were what? Worried about your safety. Concerned about your health. His face turned red after saying that. I honestly didn't expect him to be that direct in a moment like this. It caught me completely off guard. I felt heat rise to my own face. Something warm spread through my chest. My voice softened without me meaning it to, even coming out a little spoiled. Even if you're worried, you're not allowed to be mean about it. And in front of other people, you have to protect my dignity. The softness in my voice, the slightly bratty tone, it made him blink. He nodded instinctively. Okay. And at home, you have to treat me well too. Okay. I opened my mouth to add more demands, then realized I had nothing left to complain about. Something about him felt different today. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Since I'd stopped talking, he pointed at the stool in the yard. Sit down for a while. The house is still smoky. Wait before going inside. I shook my head.
I'm hungry.
I need to clean up and cook. You sit. I'll clean up. He took my uninjured hand, sat me on the stool, and got to work. His movements were fast and efficient. He gathered the leaves into a basket and dumped them, scrubbed the cooking area spotless, and even rewashed all the smoked meat. Then he grabbed dry wood and corn husks from the storage shed and started building a proper fire. While he worked, he explained everything. The wood by the wall is still wet. It needs more time to dry before winter. The storage shed has dry wood, dried corn husks, and dry leaves. Use those for starting fires. I mumbled. I used leaves. They just wouldn't light. Those were fresh leaves from the mountain. They just fell and haven't dried out yet. Of course, they won't catch easily. And when you pile wet leaves together, if one tiny spot ignites, all the moisture around it creates thick smoke. So that's what happened. Who knew starting a fire had so many rules? I watched his every step carefully, memorizing the process. I'm living in this era now. I refuse to believe I can't master something as basic as lighting a fire. Once the pot starts steaming, scrub it clean, then you can cook. He was about to put the meat in the wok when I stopped him. Wait, I'll handle the cooking. He raised an eyebrow, clearly doubtful. I just can't start a fire. But I can cook. I scooped water into the pot, put the meat in, added scallions, ginger, garlic, and a tiny splash of the strong white liquor I'd found in the kitchen. It smelled intense, definitely high-proof, so I used barely any. Shen Mingjing watched from the side, confused about what I was doing. I explained as I cooked. First you blanch the meat. This removes impurities and blood, gets rid of the gamey smell, and makes the final dish taste better. When the water boiled, I skimmed off the foam. This foam is bad for you and has a metallic taste. It ruins the flavor, so it has to go. I fished out the meat, cut it into smaller pieces, drained the pot, then pan-fried the pieces until golden. After that came the caramel color, then the braising, using the original blanching water to stew everything together. Same liquid, maximum flavor and nutrition. I worked quickly. Shen Mingjing added firewood when needed, but spent most of his time watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Could a near-death experience really change a person this much? That's probably what he was thinking. I pretended not to notice his stare. He had no proof I wasn't the original Dingyi. No matter how different I acted, all he could do was wonder. When the rich aroma of braised pork filled the air, he finally snapped out of it. He said he'd never smelled anything this good. Even yesterday's cafeteria red braised pork was nothing compared to this. The scent drifted to the neighbors. Several came out to see what was going on. They spotted Shen Mingjing carrying a plate of glistening, gorgeous braised pork inside. Everyone swallowed hard. And wait, he didn't beat me? He was helping me with chores? I also made stir-fried cucumber with eggs. I used a lot of oil because eggs need plenty of oil to taste good. From Shen Mingjing's perspective, I probably used 5 meals worth of cooking oil in one dish. For our main course, we reheated leftover steamed buns on the pot lid while the pork braised. When we sat down to eat, Shen Mingjing stared at the food in disbelief. In his memory, the arrogant rich girl never set foot in a kitchen. Her refined hands were only for writing, and now those same hands had cooked him dinner? Try it, I urged. I wasn't expecting much since our seasonings were limited, but when I tasted it, I shocked myself. It was amazing. The pork in this era came from naturally raised pigs, no commercial feed, and the difference was incredible. Shen Mingjing took a bite, and his eyes widened. He'd never tasted braised pork this good. The cucumber eggs were equally impressive. How is it? I wanted his opinion. He nodded firmly. Delicious. I smiled, feeling genuinely proud. So this is what it feels like to have your cooking appreciated. It's a surprisingly good feeling. Then I went to the kitchen and came back with 2 bowls. I filled one with a generous portion of braised pork and the other with cucumber eggs. I set them aside. Save these for Xiaojun. Shen Mingjing looked at me in surprise. Don't look at me like that. I'm not doing it for your sake. I'm doing it for his dead father's sake. He just stared at me. I could tell from his expression he was thinking, that's a really weird way to put it. After dinner, Shen Mingjing cleaned up while I followed him around to discuss plans. Winter's coming soon. We need to stock up on vegetables, or we'll have nothing to eat. Any ideas? He paused. He'd always eaten at the military cafeteria, and Xiaojun ate with Zhang Suilian, so he'd never thought about this. But now that I was here, we needed our own food supply, especially since I clearly wasn't a fan of cafeteria cooking. I can take some ration tickets and trade with nearby villagers for potatoes and cabbage. We can store them in the cellar. Dried vegetables work too. I nodded. You're too busy. I'll go do the trading myself. I'll ask Sister Sun to come with me. I needed to handle this personally, so I'd have chances to sneak in things I'd painted.
All right.
If you run out of tickets, tell me and I'll figure something out. That afternoon, I grabbed a basket and went to Sun Gili's place. She happily led me to a village about 5 or 6 kilometers away. The locals were eager to trade. Money and ration tickets were harder for them to come by than food. Some families would rather eat less themselves if it meant getting cash and tickets. I went big. Radishes, potatoes, cabbage, carrots, dried beans, scallions, and some sweet potatoes. I traded so much it filled 4 baskets. The villagers had to help carry everything back to the family quarters. When the neighbors saw multiple villagers hauling load after load into my yard, their eyes nearly popped out. They'd never seen anyone trade for this much at once. Most families grew their own vegetables in their yards and only occasionally traded for small amounts. I'd just brought home enough to feed a small army. Son Gili looked at the pile in the kitchen. These need to go in the cellar or they'll rot. Want me to help carry them down? We'd gotten comfortable enough during the afternoon that she was using my first name now. I shook my head. You've done enough today, sister son. I'll let my husband handle it when he gets home. She hesitated like she wanted to say something. Just say it. This afternoon. About what happened at noon. I laughed before she could finish. Don't worry. Shen Mingzheng and I are fine. No fighting, no divorce. I know that part. Everyone was watching your yard after we left. They all saw he didn't hit you, and that he cleaned everything up. What I wanted to tell you is, someone saw Zhang Suilian and Xiaojun running out of your yard crying. People are saying you mistreated Xiaojun. They're saying, once there's a stepmother, the father becomes a stepfather too. It's not great for your reputation. Or his. I hadn't expected that rumor, but I didn't care. Their mouths, their business. After Son Gili left, I got to work painting. I drew piles of potatoes, sweet potatoes, cabbage, radishes, green beans, scallions, then materialized a portion and mixed them in with the vegetables I'd traded for. Nobody would notice the difference. Then I started drying vegetables. In my past life, I loved dried vegetables. Dried cucumber makes amazing pickles. Dried potato and dried bean stewed with meat are incredible. When Shen Mingzheng came home, he found me steaming a massive pot full of potatoes. Are we having guests tonight? Why would you think that? That's a lot of potatoes. I'm making dried potato slices. For winter and next spring. He didn't know what to say. Other families might dry a tiny batch, but an entire pot? Then he walked into the kitchen and saw the mountain of vegetables on the floor. His mouth twitched. He'd been worried we wouldn't have enough winter stores. That concern was officially dead. He came back out with a bowl. Drink your malted milk first. I'll handle the rest. Until your body recovers, take it easy. Leave the housework for when I get home. I drank half the bowl and couldn't finish the rest. I'd eaten too much fruit from my space that afternoon. Without thinking, I handed him the bowl. I can't finish it. You drink the rest. He stared at the bowl. There was a moment of hesitation. I frowned. Are you disgusted by me? He grabbed the bowl instantly and drank every drop, like he was trying to prove something. Then he washed it and put it away. I caught a glimpse of his ears. They were bright red. How adorable. This man was so pure and innocent. And the more innocent he was, the more fun it was to tease him. I'd never dated anyone in my past life, but I'd watched plenty of dating shows during my downtime. I knew a few tricks. I was curious to see how long it'd take before this shy man finally figured out his own feelings. He started slicing the cooled steamed potatoes and laying them out on clean wooden boards to dry. When he turned around, he saw I'd cut up a mosquito net into pieces and draped them over the boards, propped up by small stones to keep them off the food. His mouth twitched again. He'd never seen anyone use a mosquito net to cover drying vegetables, especially after cutting it to pieces. I clapped my hands in satisfaction. This way, no flies could touch my food. I love dried vegetables, but I refuse to eat anything that's been kissed by insects. I noticed his complicated expression and asked directly. Everyone in the family quarters says I'm wasteful. Do you agree? He paused for a long moment, then answered seriously. I'll work harder to earn mission bonuses. I burst out laughing. So basically, yes, I'm wasteful, but he'll do his best to keep up? What a sweet, ridiculous man. I liked him more every day. Shen Mingzheng also dried some radish slices, then started prepping dinner. He cut the vegetables, and I handled the cooking as usual. While I cooked, I thought about our cooking oil problem. At the rate I use oil, our ration tickets would run out fast. Animal fat works great for cooking, but I can't paint living animals into existence. I could paint eggs and hatch them into chickens or ducks, but for proper cooking fat, pork lard is best. I need to figure something out. I made stewed beans with the meat I'd salted at noon, a radish soup, and sweet potato pancakes, golden and bubbly with oil, looking absolutely delicious. We ate late, So Xiaojun was already back from Zhang Zuilian's place. He glanced nervously at us and tried to slip straight into his room. Shen Mingjing stopped him. Xiaojun, greet us properly. The boy paused, looked at his father, then mumbled with his head down, Dad. Auntie. He clearly was still upset about what happened earlier. Have you eaten? Shen Mingjing asked. Xiaojun nodded. Want some more?
Your
Auntie saved you braised pork from lunch. It's really good. Xiaojun shook his head immediately and shot me a resentful look. He clearly thought I might poison him. And even if I didn't, he wasn't about to be bribed by the bad woman when his beloved Auntie Zuilian was the one he was loyal to. Shen Mingjing held out a plate of sweet potato pancakes. The sweet aroma hit Xiaojun's nose instantly. Want a pancake? The boy stared at it for several seconds. I could see the longing in his eyes. But then he shook his head stubbornly. Shen Mingjing could see through him. The boy wanted the food but was rejecting it because it came from me. He sighed and tried a different approach. Your auntie is a good person. I want you two to get along. You're a child. When you see an elder, you show basic respect. Xiaojun's eyes went red. Dad, are you going to get rid of me? Shen Mingjing frowned. Nonsense. You're my son, Shen Mingjing's son. Forever. I will never abandon you. But what about when you and Annie have other kids? Will you stop loving me? No, the boy was sharp for his age. No, you won't have other kids? Or no, you won't stop loving me? That question made Shen Mingjing glance at me involuntarily. I was looking right back at him. His ears turned hot, and he quickly refocused on Xiaojun. No matter how many children I have, you're still my child. I'll never love you less. Xiaojun wasn't satisfied. After gathering his courage, he blurted out, Dad, can you and Auntie please not have babies? When you're old, I promise I'll take care of you. I'll do everything for you. Shen Mingjing's expression hardened. Adult matters are none of your business. You're too young. You'll understand when you grow up. Xiaojun didn't get the answer he wanted. A tear rolled down his cheek, and he ran to his room. I watched him go, frowning. Kids in this era don't think like this. They're not exposed to complicated adult ideas through phones or computers. A 9-year-old should be out playing wildly, not worrying about whether his father will have more children. Other families had 5 or 6 kids, and nobody batted an eye. Someone had put these ideas in his head. The question was who? I kept my suspicions to myself. One thing was certain. I wasn't giving up on Shen Mingjing. If someone wanted to fight me for this man, bring it on. As for Xiaojun, I'd promised to treat him well, and I meant it. But if he refused to accept my kindness, I wasn't going to force it. I'm not patient by nature, and I've never been great with kids. After dinner, I started drawing blueprints. After 2 days here, my most urgent project was renovating the toilet. Winter was coming, and I absolutely refused to use that outdoor pit latrine in freezing temperatures. Cold weather is not conducive to the process. Converting a northeastern outdoor latrine into a flushing toilet was tricky. The winters here are brutal. Water pipes freeze and burst easily. If the pipes crack or the water freezes inside them, the whole system becomes useless. I needed a smart design to work around that. I drew several detailed diagrams, structural layouts, pipe measurements, materials lists. After Shen Mingjing finished the dishes and moved all the traded vegetables into the cellar, he came back and found me drawing. He looked over my shoulder curiously. After studying the pages for a while, he spoke. Is this a toilet? I nodded. I want to renovate ours. Once I finish the blueprints, tell me if it's doable. You know how to do this. He was genuinely surprised. Sketching a cabinet was one thing. She'd seen nice furniture in the city. But a full construction diagram with specifications and components? That was a different level entirely. I could tell what he was thinking. Without looking up, I said, You think I went to university for nothing? His face filled with admiration. Is everyone at university this knowledgeable? He'd grown up in the countryside. He'd taken a basic literacy class in the military, but his education was nothing compared to a university graduate's. He respected educated people and had hoped to learn from me after our marriage, but the original Ding-yi never gave him the chance. You really admire educated people? I asked. I think they're impressive. Like you are right now. I wanted to say this had nothing to do with my degree. It was all from my previous life's experience. Whether someone went to university or not has zero connection to knowing how to design a toilet. I handed him the finished blueprints. Think this would work? He studied them carefully. It's difficult. The ground here freezes up to 2 meters deep in winter, so the construction would be major. And these materials, the county chemical factory might have them, but they probably won't give them to us. I deflated a little. I truly hated the outdoor latrine. Unsanitary, cold in winter, hot in summer, and the smell was unbearable. He saw me pouting and something shifted in him. Let me think about it some more. My face lit up. Really? I can't promise anything, but I'll try my best. You can definitely do it. You're amazing. Just use that incredible capability of yours. I believe in you. Motivating a husband is an art form, and I'm quite talented at it. Sure enough, after hearing my praise, he looked like a man on a mission. If he didn't pull this off, wouldn't that mean he wasn't as amazing as I said? He couldn't have that. Besides, I could tell he liked seeing that sparkle in my eyes. Over the next few days, I was busy stockpiling for winter. Every morning, I went out with a basket to the nearby villages. Every time I came back, the basket was packed full. The neighbors got used to seeing it. What they didn't know was that most of what I brought home was stuff I'd painted into existence myself. Mornings were for trading, afternoons for drying vegetables. I cut green beans into strips and dried them. Eggplant got steamed briefly before drying. Green peppers were cleaned, diced, blanched for 30 seconds, then dried. I also dried cucumber, sweet potato, pumpkin, and cabbage. If it could be dried, I dried it. The cellar got packed with fresh potatoes, sweet potatoes, cabbage, and carrots. I also traded for chicken, duck, and goose eggs from the villagers. In this era, farmers were encouraged to raise poultry and livestock, though they had to hand over a portion to the government. To keep up appearances, I did trade for some real eggs, but most of them I painted. Chicken eggs were for eating fresh. Most of the duck and goose eggs got salted and preserved for winter. The gossip about me being wasteful got louder, but I didn't care. Winter was coming and I intended to be comfortable. I still needed to figure out oil, meat, grain, and firewood. From what I'd learned, winters here brought heavy snow and brutal cold. Once the snow came, finding firewood became nearly impossible. Without enough fuel, you might not die, but you'd lose half your health. Son Gili told me that almost every woman and child in the family quarters got frostbite every winter. Men handled it better, but women were constantly going in and out doing chores, and their hands suffered. Kids ran around outside regardless of weather, getting frostbite on their hands, feet, and even faces. No way was I going through that. I was going to be fully prepared. Shin Mingjung had the same idea. Every evening after dinner, he went up the mountain to gather firewood, dry branches, dead trees, bags of fallen leaves. He'd chop logs into smaller pieces, stack branches along the wall, and dry the leaves before bagging them up. All winter fuel. Every family was preparing, but there was a difference. In other households, the women did most of the winter prep, while the men just trained. In our house, I spent my time cooking, drawing, and planning, while Shin Mingjung ran himself ragged handling everything else, often not getting home until after dark. The other women were jealous. They'd never seen a wife who had it this easy, just cooking meals and nothing else. A true capitalist princess lifestyle, they said. So every day, between chores, they talked about me. Not a kind word among them, but that started to change after one particular morning. I carried a basin full of eggs and went door to door, visiting every household that had helped during the smoke incident. I gave 5 eggs to each family as a thank you gift. When I arrived, most of the women were sitting outside together making cotton shoes for winter, enjoying the autumn sunshine. They were curious when they saw me approach, but didn't greet me. My reputation was too scary. I smiled and announced my purpose. Everyone's here, great, saves me from running around. I want to thank everyone who came to help with the fire at my house. Every family that helped gets 5 eggs as my way of saying thanks. The gesture may be small, but your kindness meant a lot. They were stunned. 5 eggs per family was extremely generous. In this era, chickens didn't lay eggs daily, maybe one every 2 or 3 days, even less in winter. Eggs were precious, usually saved for the children's nutrition. Giving away 5 per household was a big deal. Lu Muten, the woman who'd first shouted, "Fire!" that day, was the first to decline. Commander Shin's wife, those eggs must have cost you a lot of ration tickets.
Keep them.
We're all neighbors. We'd never just stand by and watch someone's house burn. Sun Gili agreed. We barely did anything. It was just smoke, not even a real fire. Take the eggs back and eat them yourself, I insisted. Sister Lu, Sister Sun, please don't refuse. This is my sincere gratitude. Sister Lu, if you hadn't spotted the smoke first, who knows how bad it could have gotten. You absolutely must accept. Besides, I already traded for all these eggs. Our family can't possibly eat them all. If you don't take them, they'll just go bad. What a waste that would be. I placed 5 eggs in Lu Muten's sewing basket, 5 in Sun Gili's, and kept going around the group. Lu Muten was the most senior woman here. Her husband had been a battalion commander before getting injured on a mission and transferring to an administrative role handling classified documents. She was known as the most warm-hearted person in the family quarters, always helping whoever needed it. She carried real influence here. She saw I was sincere and stopped refusing. Sun Gili caught my look and accepted too. Once they took the eggs, everyone else followed. Everyone except Ma Wan. Because I gave eggs to every single household, except hers. Her face turned green. Her husband was the 1st Battalion commander, and she was used to people sucking up to her. Being the only one left out was a massive loss of face. She spat out, "It's just a few lousy eggs." A cheap trick to buy people's loyalty. Who even wants them? I didn't bother looking at her. Don't worry. I wasn't trying to buy you. You don't need to want them. Ding-ee. Do you know what you're doing? You're destroying unity, creating division. Don't think I'm afraid of you just because your husband is the commander. I'll go straight to the political commissar and have him set you straight. Everyone frowned, but nobody spoke up. Mawan was the most aggressive woman in the family quarters. She won every argument she'd ever been in. And she was tight with the commissar's family, so nobody dared cross her. Mawan's threats didn't scare me one bit. I actually laughed. So me not giving you eggs is destroying unity? Creating division? By that logic, the entire family quarters harmony depends on my eggs? Wow, my eggs must be really important. Maybe I should build a shrine for them. Everyone couldn't help but laugh. My comebacks always caught people off guard. Mawan was furious. Stop twisting my words. Don't get too cocky, dingy. The way you waste money, Commander Shin will dump you sooner or later. I'll be waiting to watch you cry on divorce day. She felt safe picking fights with me because her husband was aligned with the commissar and because she, like everyone else, believed my marriage wouldn't last. In their eyes, what man could tolerate a wife who couldn't do housework, spent money recklessly, and couldn't even produce children? She'd asked her own husband if he'd stay married to someone like me. He said absolutely not. Whether I get divorced or spend money is my business. My husband isn't worried, so you can stop playing mother hen. Sun Gili backed me up. That's right. Commander Shin treats very well. I don't think they're splitting up. Mawan snapped at her. Don't lie to yourself, Sun Gili. If you did nothing all day, would your husband put up with it? I don't care what anyone says. I'm waiting to see her get dumped. Sun Gili opened her mouth but couldn't argue. Deep down, she probably had the same doubts. If she acted like me, Sun Dagong would lose his mind. Every woman there was thinking the same thing. I spoke calmly but firmly. Who says a woman can only survive through a man? A woman's value was never defined by serving her husband and raising children. Love yourself first, then love others. My words landed like a stone dropped into still water. The ripples spread, and even though the surface quickly went calm again, nobody could pretend it hadn't moved them.
Makwan scoffed.
Some of the older wives looked at me like I was delusional. I didn't push further. I knew this era's thinking was traditional and hard on women. The slogan, "Women hold up half the sky," existed, but deeply rooted beliefs don't crumble overnight. Words alone wouldn't change minds.
Actions would.
If Shin Mingjing turned out to be like these ordinary men, unable to accept a wife who didn't fit the mold, I'd walk away without hesitation. I may have traveled to this era, but I refuse to be trapped by its expectations. Women should not be defined by others. I will only be myself. I'd just gotten home from delivering the eggs when a group of soldiers arrived, carrying wooden planks of various sizes. "Ma'am, the commander asked us to deliver these." I realized immediately. These were for the furniture I'd designed. I hadn't expected them so soon. "Did you soldiers make these?" "The commander made them himself," a young soldier named Zhang Mao said. During breaks between training drills, he'd go work on sanding and cutting these boards. I was pleasantly surprised. The military base can produce furniture. Simple things, yes. We need tables and chairs too, and there's plenty of timber in the mountains. It's easier to make our own. My mind started racing. If the base had woodworking capability, I could design so much more. I invited the soldiers to sit down and brought out candy and dried sweet potato slices. "You all worked hard. Rest for a minute. Let me get you some water." "Ma'am, that's not necessary. We should be going. These planks are heavy, and you carried them down from the mountain. At least have some water and a snack." Zhang Mao was an honest, straightforward kid. He accepted. "Thank you, ma'am." I went into the kitchen and prepared bowls of malted milk powder mixed with hot water. When I brought out the tray of creamy white drinks, the soldiers panicked. Some had tasted malted milk before. Others had only heard of it. This stuff cost over 10 yuan per tin. Their monthly allowance couldn't even buy 2. Zhang Mao spoke up first. "Ma'am, we can't drink this. We're not worthy of something this expensive." I frowned and spoke firmly. "Don't say that. You are this country's steel wall. Without you, ordinary people wouldn't have peaceful lives. You deserve every good thing in this world. No matter what your rank is or how small your pay, what you do matters. People will remember. You are worth it." I chose malted milk powder deliberately, partly out of genuine thanks, but mostly out of deep respect for these soldiers. In this era, many of them had fought in real battles, sacrificing everything to protect the country and its people. A few scoops of expensive powder was nothing compared to what they gave. My words hit them hard. Several soldiers had tears in their eyes. Shen Mingzheng had been delayed and arrived at the gate just in time to hear what I'd said. I could see it moved him. Zhang Mao jumped up when he saw the commander. "Sir, this." He gestured at the malted milk, unsure if he should be drinking it. Shen Mingzheng's voice was steady. "If your sister-in-law says you should drink it, then drink it. You're worth it." That last sentence told me he'd heard everything. The young soldiers were deeply moved. Both their commander and his wife said they were worth it. That feeling of being valued, truly valued, meant the world to them. They stopped refusing and drank. Some of them quietly wiped away tears between sips. So this was what malted milk powder tasted like. Sweet. Really, really good. After the soldiers left, Shen Mingzheng looked at me with a gaze that was deep and tender. But I was too busy staring at the wooden planks to notice. "Shen Mingzheng, you made all of these yourself?" He nodded. "I followed the measurements from your blueprints. I'll assemble them now so you can see if they match what you wanted." I beamed at him. "I had no idea you could do all this. You're incredible. So from now on, I just give you a blueprint and you build it." He looked a little awkward. I knew what was going through his mind. The old Ding-E couldn't say anything about him without disgust, and now I was showering him with compliments daily. It threw him off. But I could tell that underneath the confusion, he was happy. Maybe even a little excited. I decided to tease him. I stepped forward and brought my face close to his. "What's wrong?" Up close, my features were magnified. Combined with whatever scent was coming off me, his face went completely red. His Adam's apple bobbed. "And nothing. If you want anything made, just tell me. I'll do my best." A shy, flustered man really does have a special charm. Though I had to admit, being this close to him made my own heart beat faster. He was genuinely handsome. His skin was tanned from outdoor training, and the commanding, cold aura he carried from military life made people overlook his good looks. But up close, very attractive. And legally mine, protected by both law and the military. Life was good. He caught me staring at him with a dreamy expression and looked surprised. He'd never cared about his appearance before, but for the first time, he seemed pleased that his face was good for something. "You're really handsome," I murmured. He had no idea how to respond to that. He looked away, coughed softly, and said, "I'll go assemble the cabinets." I watched his retreating back and smiled. In my past life, the pure, innocent college boy type was incredibly popular. Shen Mingzheng had the rugged face and body of a soldier, but gave off that same pure, flustered energy. It was the best of both worlds. He was even more attractive when he was focused on work. His hands moved with precision, and the wooden boards seemed to come alive under his grip. With steady hammering and clicking, one cabinet after another took shape. Looking at the transformed room, I felt something unexpected, a sense of belonging. This was going to be my home. While he assembled, I unpacked the things my parents had mailed. I organized everything into the new wardrobe, which had sections for hanging, folding, pants, and drawers, almost like a modern closet. He'd also made wooden hangers and a small 5-drawer chest for odds and ends. By the time everything was in place, the whole room looked completely different. Xiaojuan's room got a wardrobe plus a toy cabinet for his slingshot, spinning top, and whip. The kitchen got a dish cabinet and a vegetable rack. It was nearly dark by the time everything was done. To reward Shen Mingzheng, I pulled meat from my space and sliced it into even pieces. I scooped out some lard, melted it in the hot wok, and tossed in the meat slices. After stir-frying until they changed color, I set them aside. Then I fried scallions, ginger, garlic, and dried chili peppers in the remaining oil, added the meat back in with cumin, and finished the dish. Shen Mingzheng was drawn over by the aroma. He washed his hands and stood by the stove, watching me cook. Something about the scene seemed to move him. After the cumin pork, I cleaned the wok and was about to make braised eggplant. But when I picked up the oil bottle, it was nearly empty. Shen Mingzheng noticed too. He remembered buying a full jean of oil just last week. At his rank, he only received 5 liang of oil ration tickets per month. He'd saved up some extra from eating at the cafeteria before, but at our current rate, those reserves wouldn't last long. I frowned and set the bottle down. I did use a lot of oil, sure, but I distinctly remembered there being more left after my last cooking session. And for the cumin pork I just made, I used lard, not vegetable oil. He saw my expression and thought I was upset about the shortage. He said gently, "I'll buy more oil tomorrow. Let's just have the one dish tonight. It smells wonderful." I nodded. Braised eggplant really needs vegetable oil. Pork fat makes it too greasy. But looking at our dwindling oil tickets, I was already forming other plans. During dinner, I brought up something directly. About my spending habits. Can you truly accept them? I'd rather clear the air now than let resentment build up until it exploded. He looked at me seriously. Your body is weak. You need good food and proper nutrition. Don't worry about money and tickets. I'll figure it out. Since I'd arrived, our meals had improved dramatically. At first he'd felt uncomfortable, even guilty about the expense. But he'd gotten used to it. My cooking was genuinely delicious, and watching me eat with such satisfaction made him feel like every bit of spending was worthwhile. He was a man. If he couldn't provide for his wife, that would be the real failure. Sure, I was a bit ticket-intensive, but it was within acceptable range. He'd just work harder, take more missions, earn more bonuses. His answer made me very happy. The cumin pork tasted even better after that. After the meal, I stood up to clear the table. I'll wash dishes tonight. You go rest. He shook his head. Your body is still recovering. Leave this to me. I'm a man. This won't tire me out. He reached for the bowls in my hands. Our fingers touched, and he jerked his hand back like he'd been electrocuted. Good thing I hadn't let go yet, or those bowls would have shattered. Seeing him blush just from brushing my fingers was too entertaining. I deliberately held the dishes out to him. Well then, I'll leave it to you. He reached again, carefully angling his hand to avoid touching mine. But as I pulled away, I let my index finger trail lightly across the back of his hand. That soft touch made his entire hand go tingly. He nearly dropped the bowls. His wrist went rigid. I looked at his frozen posture, smiled with satisfaction, and strolled off to rest. Since arriving in this era, my daily routine had settled into a comfortable pattern. Eat, sleep, and tease my husband. Not a bad life at all. When Xiaojun came home that evening and saw all the new furniture, he was stunned. But he wasn't happy, he was scared. Scared that one day there'd be no place left for him in this house. He rushed to open his cabinet and only relaxed when he saw his clothes still neatly folded inside. But instead of calming down, his fear turned into something else. He wanted to drive me away. In his mind, only if I left would his dad always be his dad. Every night, Shen Mingjing heated water for me to wash up in the bedroom while he used cold water in the outdoor shower shed. When I finished, I'd open the bedroom door as a signal for him to come in. Tonight, I finished washing and waited, but he took longer than usual. While making the beds, I placed his bedding right next to mine with no gap between them. Then I lay down and was half asleep by the time he came in. He noticed our beds were pressed together and froze. He stared at me for a long time, thinking I was asleep. I was awake, but kept my eyes shut. He climbed onto the bed carefully, wearing his white military undershirt and green shorts. He grabbed the edge of his blanket, hesitated, then let go and lay down. We were so close he could smell the scent on my skin. His whole body went stiff. He didn't dare move an inch. I could hear his breathing getting heavier. I found it funny, but still didn't open my eyes. At some point, I fell asleep. What I didn't know was that Shen Mingjing barely slept at all that night. He was up early the next morning, and the first thing he did was change his shorts and wash them. He made breakfast, corn porridge, steamed sweet potatoes, and pickled cucumber. When Xiaojun got up, he headed straight for the door. Shen Mingjing called after him. "Xiaojun, we cook meals here now. You can eat at home. Your Annie's food is really good." Xiaojun shook his head immediately.
No.
"I want to eat at Annie Zuilian's." Shen Mingjing didn't push it. He noticed Xiaojun clutching his stomach as he hurried out and asked if he was okay. Xiaojun got nervous and said he was fine, then ran off. Shen Mingjing sighed. He didn't know how to handle Xiaojun's upbringing. The boy had been terrified and withdrawn when he first brought him home, hiding in corners and refusing to speak. He'd been too busy to care for a child, so when Zhang Zuilian came along looking for shelter, he let her stay and put her in charge of Xiaojun. After that, the boy started opening up, calling him Dad, talking a little. But as Xiaojun grew, something about his personality fell off. Beyond the shyness, the boy lacked the normal mischief and energy of a boy his age. Shen Mingjing wanted to help but didn't know where to start. I slept well and woke to find a note on the table in Shen Mingjing's handwriting. "Breakfast is in the pot," short and to the point. Though I had to say his handwriting was pretty ugly. After eating and washing my dishes, I stopped mid-motion while putting them in the cabinet. The white rabbit candies I'd left on top seemed like there were fewer. I frowned and checked the malted milk powder tin. That seemed lighter too. The peach cookies in the bedroom looked untouched, but still. I went through every item in the house, mentally recording exactly how much of everything remained. Then I went out with Sun Geely to buy oil in town. Over the next few days, things kept disappearing. Cotton, cloth, grain, oil, white sugar, malted milk powder, something different every time. One item today, another tomorrow. I was certain now. We had a thief. I already had a pretty good guess who it was. But I needed proof. You catch a thief with the stolen goods in hand. One morning, after Shen Mingjing left for drills, I ate a quick breakfast and headed out with my basket like usual. Before leaving, I deliberately placed the peach cookies on the kitchen cabinet and left a stack of cash and ration tickets on the dining table. Everyone was used to seeing me leave with my basket every morning. They all assumed I was off trading with villagers again. But this time, after exiting the family quarters, I circled around through the back of the mountain and came home through the rear entrance. I positioned myself at the back window and slipped into my space to hide. Within minutes, Xiaojun appeared in the yard. From inside my space, nobody could see me, but I could see everything outside. He crept into the house and went straight to the kitchen. He rummaged around, then pulled a small bag from his pocket. He poured out a tiny bit of white sugar, then opened the malted milk tin and took a tiny scoop. He was clever about it, just a little of each, so the difference would be hard to notice. What he didn't realize was that I hadn't been drinking malted milk or using much sugar lately. A little bit each day added up fast, and it was obvious at a glance that things were missing. After the sugar and milk powder, He went to the cabinet and found the peach cookies I'd left out.
He grabbed one, thought about it,
Grabbed a second. Then he unwrapped a white rabbit candy and popped it in his mouth. I watched all of this with a deepening frown, but I didn't reveal myself yet. He turned to leave and spotted the cash and tickets on the table. He walked over but didn't reach for them right away. First, he checked outside to make sure nobody was around. Then he pulled out a 10 yuan bill and a 5 grain ticket and slid them into his pocket. The stolen goods barely made a bump in his pocket. Completely unnoticeable. Just as he was about to walk away, satisfied with his haul, I stepped out of my space and appeared by the window. "Leaving already?" I said quietly. "Sure you don't want to take a little more?" Xiao Jun's face went white when he heard my voice. He turned around, and his eyes were full of fear. I hadn't planned to get involved with Xiao Jun. He didn't like me, and I'm not the type to chase after someone's affection. But this had gone too far to ignore. Today it was stealing small things. If nobody corrected him now, it would get worse as he grew up. For the sake of his dead father, a man who gave his life defending this country, I couldn't let his son become a thief. "Do you know what you're doing?" I asked, keeping my face stern. He was too scared to speak. I was worried he'd bolt, so I climbed through the window and sat down in the chair across from him. "Why are you stealing?" The word stealing struck a nerve. He shouted, "I'm not stealing." "Then what's in your pockets?" His face flushed and he couldn't answer. I tapped my finger on the table. "Either you explain this yourself, or Shen Mingzhen comes and has this talk with you instead." He shrank back and started crying. He knew his dad would be furious. I softened my tone and tried to reason with him. "I won't tell him, but you have to be honest with me. Why are you taking things? And where did you put them?" He kept his head down, silent. "The peach cookies, the white rabbit candies, the malted milk powder, I left all of that out in the kitchen on purpose. It wasn't locked away. You're welcome to eat any of it anytime. But you can't take it by sneaking around." I'd always kept those snacks in the open specifically, so he could help himself. Since he never gave me a warm look, I wasn't about to formally offer things and play the eager stepmother. But if he'd just eaten openly, I wouldn't have said a word. I would have bought more. What I couldn't accept was the sneaking. Where was he taking the stuff? Was this his own idea, or was someone putting him up to it? And if someone was behind it, what was their goal? Shen Mingzhen held a high-ranking, sensitive position. If anyone was using his own family against him, that was a serious matter. Since he wouldn't talk, I tried a different approach. "You're young. You don't fully understand right from wrong yet. But you should trust the people closest to you. If you won't talk to me, fine. Tell your dad yourself. But if you don't tell anyone, then I will. From now on, if you want something, ask me or ask your dad. If we have it, eat it openly. If we don't, I'll consider buying it. But no more stealing. I hope today is the last time. If it happens again, I won't be this nice about it." The moment I finished, he yanked the items out of his pockets, threw them on the table, and ran out. I rubbed my temples. In neither my past life nor this one had I ever raised a child. I grew up unsupervised, so I had no parenting model. Too gentle, and he'd ignore me. Too harsh, and I'd be labeled a wicked stepmother. I hoped Shen Mingzhen would step in soon and guide this boy back on track while he was still young enough to change. After that, I spent the rest of the day drawing. I needed to stockpile. The plan was to fill my space with painted images that I could turn into real objects whenever the need arose. The reason I didn't materialize everything now was that the space was just a huge stretch of bare dark soil. With my cleanliness obsession, dumping food on the ground wasn't an option. I'd need to figure out shelving or storage eventually. I painted all kinds of eggs, fruits, vegetables, and grains. Even in the military, meals were a mix of coarse and fine grains. Most families ate mostly coarse grain. Villagers ate almost nothing else except on holidays. Families with lots of children mixed wild vegetables into their grain just to have enough. So I drew rice, wheat, corn, large quantities. To avoid interruptions and discovery, I did my concentrated painting work inside the space itself. Each time I finished, I'd materialize a small batch to inspect the quality. When I turned a handful of millet into reality, I was pleased. The grains were even plumper than normal ones. But a few slipped through my fingers and fell onto the ground. Then something incredible happened. The grains vanished into the soil. Seconds later, tiny green sprouts pushed up from the earth. They grew rapidly, shooting past my knees, then beginning to form heads of grain. Right before my eyes, a full stalk of millet ripened, heavy with seeds. I blinked, then threw all the remaining millet onto the ground. Within moments, the patch was covered with dense, mature millet plants. My heart was racing. If the space worked like this, I'd never worry about food again. A tiny amount of painted seed could produce endless harvests. I rushed to another empty area and scattered corn and wheat seeds. Both grew and matured almost instantly. But the rice seeds did nothing.
Water.
Rice needs water. I hauled water in from outside, created a small paddy area, soaked the ground thoroughly, then planted the rice seeds. This time they sprouted, grew, and produced grain. No seedling nursery, no transplanting, nothing. As long as the environment was right, the seeds did everything on their own. Looking out across a beautiful little rice field growing inside my space, I stood there with my hands on my aching back and a huge grin on my face. Then I remembered what Director Zhang from the Underworld's research office had said. This space bracelet was a brand new prototype, the latest model. Maybe it was an upgraded version with special features? Who knows what else it could do? Before I could explore further, I heard loud commotion from outside the yard. I exited the space immediately and walked outside. Nearly half the women in the family quarters had gathered in my yard. Zhang Zuelian and Xiaojun stood in the center, surrounded by the crowd. Xiaojun's eyes were red and swollen from crying. The moment he saw me, he hid behind Zhang Zuelian. She wrapped her arms around him protectively, like a mother hen shielding her chick. I raised an eyebrow. The picture was perfectly clear. The kid cried, so the grown-ups came running. On the surface, they were here to watch the show. But really, they were here to back up Zhang Zuelian and Xiaojun against me. Lu Muden, the oldest and most respected woman there, spoke first. Commander Shen's wife, Xiaojun has been crying nonstop and won't tell us why. We've all watched this child grow up, so we just came to check what happened. Her words were polite, but I saw through it. This wasn't a concern visit. They came in a mob, looking aggressive. They were here to confront me. Since Lu Muden kept it diplomatic, I played dumb right back. I have no idea why he's crying either. He must have his reasons. Why don't you ask him? Luo Xiofan jumped in. Xiaojun, tell everyone what happened. If someone bullied you, we'll set things right. Xiaojun looked up at me, then dropped his head again. That one glance said everything, at least in their minds. Luo Xiofan pounced like she'd caught me red-handed. Commander Shen's wife, how could you bully Xiaojun? He's just a little boy. This is outrageous. Who said I bullied him? Did he tell you that? I replied calmly. We all saw how scared he looked just glancing at you. You're his stepmother. You should be the one caring for him. Instead you show up, refuse to look after him, and abuse him. Shameful. I rolled my eyes. He looks at me once, and that proves I bullied him? Do his eyes talk? By that logic, I'm looking at you right now. Does that mean you bullied me? As for who takes care of him, that's his choice. And if you're accusing me of abuse, show me proof. Otherwise, it's slander. Don't think being the commissar's wife means you can say whatever you want. Mawan jumped in to support Luo Xiofan. You want proof? Look at him. His eyes are swollen like walnuts. Zuelian said he was perfectly fine this morning. He went back to your house and came out crying. If you didn't do it, who did? I turned slowly to Zhang Zuelian. So, you knew Xiaojun went home. Did you know what he went home to do? Her eyes flickered. I didn't ask. I gave a cold smile. I didn't ask. Not yes, not no. Just a perfectly vague answer to lead everyone's imagination. For the first time, I saw Zhang Zuelian differently. I'd thought she was just a simple, honest woman who said mildly shady things. Now I realized I'd underestimated her. Xiaojun, I said. Everyone's here fighting for you. Why don't you tell them yourself? Why were you crying? His eyes welled up again. Zhang Zuelian immediately pulled him closer. Sister-in-law, why are you pressuring a child like this? Even if you don't like him, he's Brother Shin's flesh and blood. For Brother Shin's sake, stop bullying him. Then she pushed up Xiaojun's sleeve, revealing a bruise on his arm. Luo Xiaofan gasped dramatically. You pinched him hard enough to bruise. Dingy, you really are vicious. Zhang Suilian added tearfully. I dressed him in fresh clothes this morning. There was no mark on his arm then, so now I was being framed and couldn't wash this off even if I jumped in a river. I had to admire the teamwork. One person loaded the gun, another fired it, and a third aimed it squarely at me. Perfectly coordinated. Too bad, I'm not the kind of prey they can hit. Xiaojun, I gave you a chance to explain. Since you won't talk, I'll do it for you. I turned to Zhang Suilian. You take care of Xiaojun every day. Did you know he's been stealing? She shook her head reflexively.
Impossible.
Nothing's ever gone missing from my house. Xiaojun would never steal. I laughed. Nothing went missing from your house? Then, did you notice things in your house increasing? She started to shake her head again, then stopped. Something registered. She avoided my eyes. Xiaojun is just a child. It's normal for kids to want snacks. Luo Xiaofan leapt to her defense. Exactly.
Kids are kids.
Besides, everything in your house was bought with Commander Shin's pay. Xiaojun is his son. Eating his own family's food is perfectly natural. How is that stealing? No wonder Xiaojun still stays with Suilian even after you came. Commander Shin must know you'd mistreat the boy. That's why he keeps him with her. Since when is eating your own family's food called stealing? What a joke. Ma Wan piled on. Dingy, this is abuse of a military dependent. That's a crime. Let's see if Commander Shin covers for you. Lu Muden frowned and spoke up. Let's not jump to conclusions. I think Commander Shin's wife isn't unreasonable. Let her finish explaining. A few other women, the ones who'd accepted my eggs, also chimed in, saying maybe it was just a misunderstanding. Luo Xiaofan wasn't about to let this opportunity slip. What misunderstanding? The bruise on his arm is the evidence. She abused a military dependent, and we demand an answer. I ignored Luo Xiaofan and Ma Wan and kept my eyes on Zhang Suilian. Let me ask you, the cloth, grain, cooking oil, fresh vegetables, dried vegetables, malted milk powder, and white sugar that Xiaojun took from my house, did he bring those to yours? Did you know about it? She didn't answer right away. But with everyone staring at her, she couldn't dodge. Lu Muden's expression changed. Suilian, is this true? Even she had initially assumed Xiaojun just sneaked a few snacks and that I was overreacting by calling it theft. But cloth, grain, oil, sugar, malted milk powder, those weren't casual snacks. Those were valuable ration supplies. And why would a 9-year-old take fabric and cooking oil? Zhang Suilian put on her most wronged expression. Xiaojun did bring some things home recently. I thought Brother Shin told him to give them to me. He's done that before. Whenever he had extra supplies, he'd send some over. I didn't think anything of it. Then she added softly, Sister-in-law, please don't be angry. Don't hold this against Xiaojun. From now on, we'll eat less and use less. We won't be a burden to you and Brother Shin. I watched Zhang Suilian work her magic. With just a few sentences, she dissolved the accusation of knowingly receiving stolen goods, recast herself as a helpless victim, and made everyone feel sorry for her. Impressive, really. Luo Xiaofan patted her hand sympathetically. Oh, Suilian, look how thin you are. Meanwhile, some people buy piles of meat and trade for mountains of vegetables. I can smell the meat cooking from next door every single day. Commander Shin needs to answer for letting his child be treated this way. If he doesn't give us an explanation today, I'll have my husband take this higher up, an open threat. But I don't scare easily. I wasn't raised on fear. My style is simple. The harder you come at me, the harder I hit back. I looked at Luo Xiaofan and Ma Wan. You're right. We do need an explanation. Since I arrived, you two have harassed me and made false accusations over and over. You keep saying military dependents can't be bullied. Well, guess what? I'm a military dependent too. Once this is sorted out, I expect a public apology from both of you. Otherwise, I'll be the one going to leadership and asking whether the commissar's family is above the law and free to organize mob attacks against others. Before Luo Xiaofan could respond, I turned to Zhang Suilian. You claim you didn't think about it. You've raised Xiaojun for years. You say you care about him so deeply. But you can't tell if he's openly carrying things home versus sneaking them? You couldn't tell the difference. And if Shen Mingjing really was sending supplies to you through Xiaojun, who delivers them 1 spoonful of sugar at a time, 1 spoonful of malted milk powder, 2 spoonfuls of cooking oil per day, if someone wanted to give you supplies, wouldn't they give a whole month's worth at once? That landed. Everyone turned to look at Zhang Zuelian again. She was right, nobody distributes supplies that way. Not even neighbors borrowing from each other hand things over spoonful by spoonful. I pressed on. Xiaojun is Shen Mingjing's child. He'll always be supported and provided for. But that doesn't make stealing acceptable. Zhang Zuelian kept her head down for a long time, then spoke softly. I'm sorry, sister-in-law. I didn't think it through. Please don't be angry. I promise Xiaojun won't take anything again. It's all my fault, really. I was worrying out loud about not having enough winter supplies, and Xiaojun is such a kind, caring boy. He took it to heart and acted foolishly. I'll return everything double. We won't trouble you and Brother Shin anymore. Playing the victim again. As if being weak automatically makes you right. Sure enough, Luo Xiaofan took the bait.
See?
Xiaojun just wanted to help Zuelian. She raised him with so much love, and he was just worried about her. His intentions were good, even if the method was wrong. He's still a child, did you really have to hit him? Why couldn't you just talk to him? Mawan piled on. If any kid misbehaves, you go to their parents. If you had a problem with Xiaojun, tell Commander Shen or tell Zuelian. But instead you did it behind everyone's back and pinched the boy black and blue. Clearly, it was deliberate. I almost laughed at the absurdity. I was Xiaojun's mother in name, stepmother, yes, but still his mother. Now they were telling me I had no right to discipline him and should instead go through Zhang Zuelian, an outsider? Before I could respond, Shen Mingjing arrived. Behind him came Sun Geely, panting from running. She hadn't joined the mob. Instead, she'd gone straight to the base to get him. She was worried I'd be outnumbered. What happened? Shen Mingjing's voice was low and serious. His eyes scanned me from head to toe. When he confirmed I wasn't hurt, he relaxed slightly. Lu Muden was about to explain calmly, but Luo Xiaofan cut in first. Commander Shen, you need to control your wife. Xiaojun was worried Zuelian wouldn't have enough winter supplies, so he brought some food and sugar from your house. Your wife got mad, and look what she did to him. Shen Mingjing looked down at Xiaojun's arm. The bruise was real. He frowned. Did your Annie do this? Xiaojun stared at the ground, silent. Luo Xiaofan tugged his arm. Speak up, child. Your dad's here now. What are you afraid of? Tell everyone how she treats you when your dad isn't home. Still nothing. Answer me. Did your Annie pinch you? Don't make me ask a third time. Shen Mingjing's voice went cold and commanding. Xiaojun burst into tears from the pressure. Zhang Zuelian rushed to shield him. Brother Shen, don't be so harsh. This is all my fault. Xiaojun only took things for my sake. Blame me, not him. Luo Xiaofan stirred the pot more. Of course the child is scared to talk. You're never home. Your wife runs the house. And Zuelian confirmed there was no bruise when she dressed him this morning. He went to your house, came back with a bruise. That's clearly a pinch mark. You better deal with your wife, or I'll have my husband come give her a political education lesson. At least she didn't dare repeat her earlier threat about going to higher authorities, not with Shen Mingjing standing right there. His presence was too intimidating. Shen Mingjing stared at Xiaojun. Speak. The boy trembled, crumbled under the pressure, and cried out. Yes. Shen Mingjing's expression darkened. He went quiet for a moment, then turned to look at me. I looked right back. Our eyes met in the air between us. I could see it in his gaze, examination, doubt, questioning. But I didn't flinch. I hadn't done anything wrong. I had nothing to feel guilty about. After a few seconds, he asked slowly, word by word, Is this true? If I say no, would you believe me? Luo Xiaofan could barely contain herself. Commander Shen, your own son just said she did it. You can't let her off. Of course she won't admit it. Criminals never confess. Who knows what else she does to Xiaojun when you're not around? Shen Mingjing didn't respond to her. He kept his eyes locked on me. I stared back, stubbornness in my eyes, and underneath it, a tiny flicker of hope he might not see. Hope that he'd choose to trust me. In the end, Shen Mingjing didn't answer my question. He didn't say whether he believed me or not, because he didn't know. In his mind, Xiaojun had never lied before. And the old Ding Yi clearly disliked children. Even now, after her near-death experience, he could see I still wasn't fond of kids. So maybe, just maybe, Xiaojun had annoyed me and I'd. He looked away first. He turned to the crowd and spoke in his commanding voice. I appreciate everyone's concern about my family matters. I'll investigate this thoroughly. We weren't prepared for guests today, so I won't keep you. Luo Xiofan wouldn't quit. Commander Shen, you haven't given us an explanation. You think a few words can just send us away. His gaze turned sharp. Yi is Xiaojun's mother. I asked her to help discipline the child. Whether she disciplined him or not isn't anyone else's business. Besides, what family doesn't spank their kids when they misbehave? Sister Luo, I hear you hit your own children plenty. Should you explain yourself to everyone too? Hearing those words, I felt a bitter smile form on my lips. On the surface, he was defending me, but what he actually said was an admission. He'd accepted the premise that I hit Xiaojun. He was just arguing that it was within my rights as a parent.
He didn't believe me.
That realization hit me like a punch to the chest. Somewhere along the way, without noticing, I developed real feelings for this man. Real expectations. That's why his lack of trust hurt so much. But the painful truth was, in this relationship, I was the only one investing emotions. Since Shen Mingjing had spoken so firmly, people started leaving. Lu Muden ushered the crowd out, saying it was a family matter and they should stop interfering. Luo Xiofan lingered, but Ma Wan dragged her away, whispering that Shen Mingjing's face was black with anger and she didn't want to be caught in the crossfire. She added excitedly that they should go wait at Luo Xiufan's house. It was close enough to hear if a fight broke out. She was convinced Shen Mingjing was going to beat me. Sun Geely approached me hesitantly. Did I make things worse by going to get him? I gave her a smile. Sister Sun, you meant well. Thank you. Actually, his timing was perfect. It helped me see some things clearly.
Go home for now.
I'll come by this afternoon and you can teach me how to make shoes. Winter was coming, and my shoes weren't warm enough. Even if I stayed indoors, I'd need cotton slippers. After Sun Geely left, only 4 of us remained. Shen Mingjing, me, Xiaojun, and Zhang Xuelian. Zhang Xuelian stood there silently, not daring to speak. Xiaojun hid behind her, trying to make himself invisible. The 2 of them looked small, pitiful, and helpless. Meanwhile, I was radiating enough hostile energy to fight all 3 of them at once. Shen Mingjing turned to Zhang Xuelian. Go home. I'll watch Xiaojun this afternoon. He'll come to you tomorrow. She didn't want to leave. She hadn't seen me get punished yet. Brother Shen, Xiaojun is so scared. Can I stay with him a little while? Look how much he's been crying. I need to handle family matters. It's not appropriate for you to be here. He rejected her flatly, basically calling her an outsider without saying the word. Before, I would have appreciated how cleanly he drew boundaries. I would have given him points for it. But right now, I felt nothing. I was already mentally planning to give up on this man. Yes, I wanted to hold on to him for protection. But surviving the political upheaval in 2 years didn't require him specifically. I had other options. And if those storms got as violent as I knew they would, trusting my back to someone who didn't believe me was dangerous. What if he stabbed me when the time came? Without mutual trust, we were better off apart. Zhang Xuelian made one last play before leaving. She crouched down in front of Xiaojun, told him to behave, reminded him that Brother Shen would never abandon him, and said she'd be waiting at home. Xiaojun clutched her sleeve, not wanting her to go. He was genuinely afraid. Because he had lied. Shen Mingjing softened his voice slightly. Xiaojun let go. The boy obeyed. Zhang Xuelian walked away, looking back every few steps.